I want to watch that movie. Ji Yuzue raised an eyebrow slightly. Are you sure? Shun Shui nodded and said with great certainty. Yes, I'm sure. Ji Yuzue didn't say anything more and bought 2 movie tickets from the automatic ticket machine. The name of that movie was Nightmare in the Rain. Without even needing to read the synopsis, it was immediately obvious that this was a heart-pounding horror film. Chapter 112 Awkward. After having their tickets checked at the cinema entrance, Shun Shui held Ji Yuzue's hand and walked into the screening hall. Perhaps because the movie was about to start, the lights in the hall were dimmed, and advertisements were playing on the big screen. Shui, it's a bit dark here, watch your step. Ji Yuzue held popcorn and a Coke in one hand while wrapping his other arm around Shun Shui's waist to prevent her from stumbling. Shun Shui hummed in acknowledgement, holding the movie ticket stub in her hand as she located row 6. The two slowly made their way through the narrow aisle and took their seats. Shortly after sitting down, accompanied by the familiar deng 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 sound effect, a golden dragon appeared on the screen. After the movie started, the surroundings quickly quieted down, and neither Shun Shui nor Ji Yuzue spoke. Watching the film in silence, the movie tells the story of a serial killer who often broke into victims' homes on stormy nights, brutally murdering over a dozen couples. What puzzled people was that each time he committed the crime, the serial killer spared the children's lives. He tied the children to chairs, forcing them to witness their parents being murdered with their own eyes. This particular aspect must hold some significance for the killer. Through gathering evidence and psychological profiling, the police successfully apprehended the killer. The reason the killer frequently committed murders was due to certain childhood events that caused his mental breakdown. When he was 5 years old, his home was burglarized. Those people tied him to a chair, propped open his eyelids, and forced him to watch as his parents were murdered. From that day on, he had the same nightmare almost every day, day after day, until his mind shattered. He wanted others to understand his pain, so he killed many people. Those children would live in nightmares forever, just like him. As the plot unfolded, the murderer used a master key to unlock the door of a house in the dead of night. The atmosphere instantly turned eerie. Ji Yuzue held Shun Shui's hand and whispered in her ear, Shui, are you scared? Despite her rapidly pounding heartbeat, Shun Shui stubbornly replied, I'm not scared at all. Ji Yuzue shook his head with a smile. If you're not scared, why are you gripping my hand so tightly? When Shun Shui felt scared, she quickly took a few bites of popcorn to calm herself. The woman sitting in front of them also seemed frightened. The man beside her pulled her close, and their heads gradually leaned closer together. In the end, they embraced and kissed each other. Shun Shui was truly astonished by this scene and couldn't help but whisper in Ji Yuzue's ear, kissing while watching a horror mystery film, that's exceptionally unconventional. Ji Yuzue's voice was low and husky as he said, let's try it too. No way. Before Shun Shui could finish her last word, her lips were already sealed by Ji Yuzue's. A long and tender kiss made Shun Shui forget everything around her, until a scream shattered all the lingering tenderness of affection. Ah, murder. The cool, refreshing scent he left on her lips still lingered. Shun Shui lightly pressed her lips together and gently pinched Ji Yuzue's palm, signaling him to behave. Shun Shui focused her attention and continued watching the unfolding plot of the movie. However, the couple sitting in front was still locked in an inseparable kiss. Even the various piercing screams couldn't pull them apart. Shun Shui, there's a hotel right next door, just go get a room, I beg you. And so, for the second half of the movie, Shun Shui ended up watching both the film and the couple's passionate kissing. When the movie ended, the lights in the theater brightened, and the couple in the front row finally separated. Shun Shui glanced at the front row. The man and woman who had been embracing and kissing earlier turned out to be Ji Yuzue and Qiao Yang. 4 pairs of eyes met, and silence lingered for a long time. Ji Yuzue's face was now flushed red, wishing she could dig a tunnel with her toes to escape on the spot. Ahem. Ji Yuzue cleared his throat and said, why don't we step outside first and talk there? Everyone else in the screening room had already left, leaving only a few cleaning ladies standing by with brooms and mops, apparently ready to start cleaning. After the 4 of them walked out of the screening room, Ji Yuzue took a deep breath and said with a casual smile, brother, sister-in-law, what a coincidence. You came to watch a movie too. They were all adults. What was the big deal about a kiss? Shun Shuei and Ji Yuziue, as a married couple, had been through it all and were far more experienced than she was. No big deal, it's pitch black inside anyway. Probably can't see clearly. Ji Yuziue nodded in agreement. Yeah, my wife said she wanted to watch a movie, so I accompanied her. Shun Shuei chimed in at this point. Didn't expect we'd end up at the same cinema watching the same movie. Qiao Yang's ears turned slightly red as she awkwardly said, what a coincidence, with so many cinemas in Haicheng. We still managed to run into each other. I'm a bit hungry, want to grab some late-night snacks together. Ji Yuxiu changed the subject and asked, I'm fine with either. Ji Yuziue looked at Shun Shuei. Shuei, are you hungry? Shun Shuei smiled and said, not hungry, but I'm craving something tasty, sis. Let's go for claypot porridge or barbecue. Okay, Shun Shuei replied, okay, let's go for some barbecue. I haven't had barbecue in over half a year. Qiao Yang took me to a barbecue place once, and the food was pretty good, Ji Yuxiu said, turning to Qiao Yang, should we go to that place again? Qiao Yang hesitated, saying, but the environment at that place isn't very good. He hadn't known Ji Yuxiu's identity before, which was why he had taken her to a street food stall for a late-night snack. Even if Ji Yuxiu didn't mind that environment, she was still with Ji Yuziue and Shun Shuei. So they should at least go to a restaurant with a better dining environment. Shun Shuei quickly interjected, the environment isn't important. What matters is whether the food tastes good. It's delicious. Ji Yuxiu nodded emphatically. I haven't found a second place in Haicheng that tastes better than this one. Oh, then I definitely have to try it. Without further ado, Shun Shuei pulled Ji Yuxiu and started walking out. Ji Yuziue patted Qiao Yang's shoulder and whispered, let's go. We've also eaten at street stalls before. There aren't so many fussy rules. Hearing Ji Yuziue say that, Qiao Yang breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, let's go then. It's about a 20-minute drive from here. The wealthy families Qiao Yang imagined were those who rode in luxury cars everywhere and only dined at high-end restaurants. That's why he was worried just now that Ji Yuziue would disdain the food stalls. Thinking more deeply, it's just that Qiao Yang lacks sophistication. Choosing a street food stall for his first meal with his elder brother-in-law. Indeed, that does sound rather inappropriate. However, this wasn't meant to be a formal dinner. More importantly, Ji Yuxiu clearly wanted to eat barbecue at that street food stall. As long as she's happy, that's all that matters. Chapter 113, Sleeping in Each Other's Arms. Before long, Ji Yuziue drove to the barbecue stall, following the location provided by Qiao Yang. Qiao Yang, being familiar with the area, arrived earlier than Ji Yuziue and Shun Shuei. She was waiting for them in her car and only got out when she saw them arrive. When Qiao Yang saw that Ji Yuziue was driving a BYD, she was slightly surprised. The car was simply too understated. The four of them walked into the Dai Paidong, and the proprietress immediately came over with the menu. There's a table here. You can sit here. The proprietress pointed to an empty table nearby. Take a look at the menu and see what you'd like to eat. They looked at the menu and ordered some of their usual grilled skewers. The proprietress finished writing down their order and then asked, would you like some beer? Ji Yuziue knew that Shun Shuei had mentioned wanting to go to a bar for drinks after the movie. Since they didn't make it to the bar, he decided to order her a beer. So, he glanced at Qiao Yang and Ji Yuxiu, both of whom nodded slightly in agreement. Ji Yuziue said, then let's start with 4 bottles of beer, alright? I'll bring them over shortly, the proprietress replied before turning to place the order with the kitchen. After the barbecue and drinks were all served, Ji Yuxiu handed Shun Shuei a lamb skewer and said, sister-in-law, try it while it's hot. Okay, thank you. The lamb skewer had just been served and was still steaming. Shun Shuei blew on it before taking a bite. After tasting it, Shun Shuei couldn't help but nod and say, the flavor is really good. Really, let me try. Ji Yuziue also took a lamb skewer and ate it. The taste is pretty good. Ji Yuxiu raised her beer glass and said with a smile, come on, let's clink glasses tilde. Cheers tilde. The four of them clinked glasses and took a big gulp of beer. Ji Yuxiu took a few bites of the grilled squid and, after swallowing the food in her mouth, asked, you all must already know each other, right? Shun Shuei smiled and said, you can introduce them. After all, the dynamics have changed now. Qiao Yang was the deputy general manager of Heir Jewelry, so of course he knew Jiyu Ziyue, and they had even spoken face-to-face a few times, though only about business matters. Now that Xiao Yang had become Jiyu Shiyu's boyfriend, his role had indeed undergone a significant transformation. Who knows? Xiao Yang might become Jiyu Ziyue's brother-in-law in the future. Oh, all right, Jiyu Shiyu introduced with an air of formality. Xiao Yang, this is my cousin Jiyu Ziyue, and this is his wife Shen Shuwei. After introducing her cousin and his wife, Jiyu Shiyu linked arms with Xiao Yang and said with a smile, "This is my boyfriend, Xiao Yang, nice to meet you." Xiao Yang, Jiyu Ziyue said to him, "If you don't mind, you can address me the same way Shiyu does, like Shiyu, call Jiyu Ziyue Gij." Xiao Yang was silent for a moment, then called out, "Ziyue Ji." Shen Shuwei blinked at Xiao Yang and smiled, "We're so familiar, there's no need for a handshake. You can call me by my name from now on. Or address me like Shiyu does." Shen Shuwei was slightly older than Xiao Yang by 1 year. Xiao Yang smiled politely. Shuweijie, after all, Xiao Yang had only been dating Jiyu Shiyu for a few days. If he were to address them by their first names now, he still felt the change was too sudden. Shen Shuwei and Jiyu Ziyue didn't mind, as long as they weren't called Mr. Shen or Mr. Jiyu. Such titles were simply too distant. After a few drinks, Xiao Yang also opened up and voiced his confusion. "Sister Shuwei, are you a relative of one of the company's directors? I heard some colleagues saying that before." What else did they say? That I got in through connections and pulled strings?" Xiao Yang hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, that's right, I've heard these rumors before," Shen Shuwei said with a faint smile. "However, I'm not a relative of a director, I'm a relative of the chairman." Xiao Yang's eyes widened in surprise. He hadn't expected Shen Shuwei to have such a significant hidden identity. After a moment of thought, he softly said, "I remember the chairman's son-in-law is surnamed Shen. Are you the chairman's granddaughter?" "Millimeter, you got it right. I'll reward you with a drink." Shen Shuwei clinked glasses with Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was probably a bit tipsy. He had relaxed considerably and was talking more and more, even sharing things about himself. He grew up in a high-pressure environment. Not that his parents were unkind to him, but they were extremely strict and had high expectations for him. Many parents are like this, hoping their child will become a dragon, achieve great success, and wishing for them to accomplish great things. However, in a small county town with relatively poor educational conditions, it was truly remarkable for Xiao Yang to gain admission to one of the country's top universities. Listening to Xiao Yang's story, Jiyu Shiyu felt a pang of heartache for him. After 5 years of work, Xiao Yang, through her own efforts, rose to the position of deputy general manager. It's clear that Xiao Yang was extremely diligent, whether in her studies or at work. After eating and drinking their fill, they called for designated drivers and each got into a car to go home. Xiao Yang dropped Jiyu Shiyu off at her apartment, while Jiyu Ziyue and Shen Shuwei went home together. The designated driver was in front, and the couple sat in the back. Shen Shuwei, like a kitten, leaned softly against Jiyu Ziyue. Jiyu Ziyue played with a strand of her hair, wrapping it around his finger, then releasing it. He repeated this several times. Shen Shuwei looked out the car window and yawned lazily. "Aren't we going back to the old house?" Jiyu Ziyue leaned down and kissed her cheek, replying, "This place is closer to Yujiang Mansion. Let's stay there tonight." "But there aren't any change of clothes there, are there?" "Yes. I prepared some change of clothes and daily necessities and left them there before." Since Jiyu Ziyue had everything ready, Shen Shuwei nodded in agreement. The couple was out on a date tonight, so it didn't matter if they didn't go back home, with Chen Chen and 1111 being taken care of by the elders. The couple felt completely at ease. Once they returned home to Yujiang Mansion, the young couple started getting affectionate the moment they closed the front door. Jiyu Ziyue picked up Shen Shuwei and pressed her against the wall behind the door. His warm kisses trailed from her lips down to her collarbone, his hands lingering over her body. Shen Shuwei felt a tingling sensation all over, her body weak and boneless as she clung to Jiyu Ziyue. "I want to take a shower." Her voice was soft and tender, like a gentle tickle at the heart. "All right." Together, Jiyu Ziyue carried her into the bathroom. In the bathroom, warm water flowed from the shower head, and the body temperature of the two embracing individuals was probably hotter than the water itself. Shen Shuwei gasped softly, her face flushed. and her eyes glistening. Ji Yuziue hooked her legs around his waist. After showering for over an hour, Shun Shui was almost exhausted and was carried back to the large bed in the bedroom by Ji Yuziue. The couple slept in each other's arms. Chapter 114. Daily Displays of Affection. The next morning, Shun Shui slowly woke up. Just as she was about to get up, her waist was suddenly pulled by Ji Yuziue, drawing her into his embrace. Awake, Ji Yuziue's voice was husky, tinged with a hint of drowsiness. Good morning. Shun Shui gazed at Ji Yuziue, her reflection mirrored in his deep eyes, filled with tenderness and focus. She couldn't help but lean in and kiss his cheek. Shui. Ji Yuziue's eyes darkened as he flipped over, pinning Shun Shui beneath him and kissing her tender lips. When the kiss finally ended, Ji Yuziue suppressed the restlessness in his heart and got up to head to the bathroom. The couple had stayed up until the early hours of the morning. If not for his concern that Shun Shui might be too tired, Ji Yuziue would never have been willing to stop. Listening to the splashing water from the bathroom, Shun Shui couldn't help but smile, of course. She knew Ji Yuziue's intentions. While Shun Shui was washing up, Ji Yuziue changed his clothes and went to the kitchen to make breakfast. When she finished washing up, she opened the closet and saw many clothes Ji Yuziue had prepared for her inside. The tags on these clothes had been removed, and they exuded a fresh scent, smelling like laundry detergent and sunshine. The scent was very refreshing. Shun Shui chose a smoky blue dress from the wardrobe. It was a modernized new Chinese cheongsam style, with a frog button design on the collar and an A-line skirt. Unlike the tight fit of traditional cheongsams, there was an added sense of ease amidst the elegance. After changing, Shun Shui walked to the dressing table and sat down. Noticing the skincare and makeup products displayed on it, a sweet smile graced her lips. When someone truly cares about you, they pay attention to your preferences and thoughtfully prepare everything for you. The skincare and makeup products Ji Yuziue prepared were all brands Shun Shui commonly used. Shun Shui tidied her hair, put on some light makeup, then got up and left the room. On the dining table were 2 cups of coffee. Ji Yuziue was still in the kitchen making breakfast, and from the sounds, he seemed to be frying eggs. Shun Shui walked to the kitchen doorway, crossed her arms, leaned against the doorframe, and watched with interest the house husband busy at the stove. Tell me, she asked with a light laugh, when did you learn to cook? Before, when I lived in the same house with Ji Yuziue for over 2 years, he was always a young master who never lifted a finger, let alone cooking. He hadn't even washed a single bowl. After eating, he would put down his dishes and go to the study, leaving Zhong Suro or Shun Shui to clean up. Ji Yuziue looked back at her and honestly replied, I started learning to cook 4 years ago. I studied recipes, and after a few failures, I started getting the hang of it. Shun Shui raised an eyebrow. So that was shortly after our divorce? Yes, at that time, I already regretted divorcing you and remembered all the dishes you made for me. I wanted to try and see if I could make them taste like yours, and what was the result? Ji Yuziue turned off the heat, and as he scooped the fried egg onto a plate, he said to her, the result is, no matter what, I can't make the exact same taste. Shun Shui wasn't surprised. She smiled and said, even with the same ingredients and the same measurements, everyone's cooking will taste a little different. Ji Yuziue carried the breakfast out, and Shun Shui followed behind him. The two sat down at the dining table, and only then did he continue. Later, I realized that what I missed wasn't the taste of the food, what I missed was you. Shun Shui ate the loving breakfast he made, smiling as she looked at him. Who told you not to cherish it properly back then? Now you regret it after the divorce. Yes, I was absolutely blind and foolish back then. You were such a pearl by my side, and I couldn't even see your brilliance. Shun Shui smiled again and said, alright, I don't want to keep dwelling on the past. More importantly, let's live each day well in the present. After breakfast, Shun Shui started to clear the dishes, but Ji Yuziue wouldn't let her. He told her to go sit in the living room and watch TV, or play on her phone. Shun Shui sat on the living room sofa, holding her phone, secretly snapping a few photos of Ji Yuziue's back as he did household chores. She posted the breakfast photos along with the pictures of him doing chores to her social media feed. Shun Shui woke up this morning to a loving breakfast made by Mr. Ji Yu. A man doing housework is the handsomest. Photo. Shortly after the post went up, several elders gave it a like, while Lee Peiji commented, "The eggs are a bit overcooked. But the rest looks decent." Shun Shuai replied to Lee Peiji, "Ha ha ha, Mom, it's probably because I was talking to him and distracted him." Shung Sungyu commented, "I haven't had breakfast yet. Well, now I'm full from all this dog food, saved myself a breakfast expense." Shun Shuai replied to Shung Sungyu, "Come over to my place, I'll treat you to breakfast." A little while later, sister-in-law Ji Yushiu also commented, "What, all this breakfast was made by my brother, oh." Shun Shuai replied to Ji Yushiu, surprised, "Right, I just found out recently too, turns out he learned to cook a few years ago." After cleaning up the kitchen, Ji Yushiu walked over and saw Shun Shuai holding her phone with a bright smile on her face. "What are you looking at that's making you so happy?" Ji Yushiu placed a cup of warm water on the coffee table in front of Shun Shuai and then sat down beside her. "Here, take a look." Shun Shuai handed her phone to Ji Yushiu, showing him the recent post on her social media feed along with the comments from friends and family. After reading through them, Ji Yushiu nodded in satisfaction. He thought to himself that he should cook more often in the future, so his wife would share their daily affectionate moments more frequently on social media. After sitting for a while, Shun Shuai and Ji Yushiu went downstairs and drove back to the Jiyu family's old residence. Although there were the Jiyu family elders and Aunt Zhong accompanying them, Chen Chen and 1111 had just moved to a new environment and might feel a bit unsettled. Shun Shuai still wanted to return as soon as possible to spend time with the two children. As expected, when Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi woke up in the morning, they didn't see Shun Shuai. The siblings didn't cry or fuss looking for their mother, but their mood was clearly a bit down. After Shun Shuai returned, the two little ones immediately threw themselves into her arms, asking where she had gone last night. Shun Shuai said softly, "Mom and Dad had something to take care of last night. It was already very late when we finished, so we didn't make it back." Well, it was indeed something important. The couple occasionally going out alone for a date can strengthen their relationship, which is a very important matter. Shung family villa. Shung Huainan sat on a lounge chair in the garden, bathed in sunlight. His body felt warm from the sun, but a wave of desolation washed over his heart. Shung Sangyu stood by the French window, observing her brother's solitary figure. She sighed softly, then stepped out the door and walked towards Shung Huainan. "Brother, the weather is lovely today. How about we go play some golf?" Shung Huainan shook his head. "If you want to go, you can ask your friends to accompany you. I need to go back to the study to work in a while." Shung Sangyu knew that her brother must have also seen Shuai's social media post, which was why he was feeling so upset. When you truly love someone, you'll understand that letting go of the one you love is never easy. Shung Sangyu had already said all she needed to say. The only thing she could do now was to quietly stay by her brother's side. It's easier said than done. In relationships, lecturing is useless. Shun Shuai had already remarried Ji Yushiu, and Shung Huainan, of course, knew he had to let her go, but the more he tried to let go, the clearer the memories of their time together became in his mind. Chapter 115. From now on, it's Director Shun. On Monday morning, Shun Shuai woke up early as usual and jogged for half an hour in the garden of the Jiyu family's old mansion. Ji Yushiu also woke up at the same time and jogged with her. After their morning run, the couple returned to their room to shower and change. Shun Shuai walked into the walk-in closet and suddenly remembered that today was the day of the board meeting. After lingering in the walk-in closet for a moment, she finally chose a Chanel suit, dressed in this outfit. Shun Shuai exuded an even more elegant and noble aura, completely different from her usual understated style. Upon seeing Shun Shuai's attire, Ji Yushiu immediately understood. "Board meeting today," Shun Shuai replied while applying her makeup. Yes." After Shun Shuai finished getting ready, the couple walked downstairs hand in hand and entered the dining room for breakfast. Seeing how affectionate Shun Shuai and Ji Yushiu were, the elders of the Jiyu family couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. After breakfast, the couple bid farewell to the elders and their child before heading out to work together. The morning rush hour was a bit congested today, and by the time Shun Shuai arrived at the company, she was already 2 minutes late. "I usually leave for the office from the U residence. But today I started from the GU residence, so my time estimate was off, plus, there was traffic, which is why I got delayed. The moment Shun Shuwei appeared in the office, everyone felt their eyes light up. Director Shun seemed exceptionally radiant today. Jiang Lu walked in carrying coffee and warm water, smiling as she said to Shun Shuwei, "Director Shun, is today a special occasion? You look absolutely stunning today, elegant, beautiful, and very regal." Shun Shuwei blinked at Jiang Lu and gave a mysterious smile. "It's a secret, you'll probably find out by noon at the latest. The board meeting will convene at 10 o'clock, and after it concludes, everyone in the company will be informed. Shun Shuwei is Mr. Yu's granddaughter and is about to become one of the group's directors." The desk phone rang, and Jiang Lu, not wanting to pry further, turned and left the office with the documents. Shun Shuwei answered the phone, and Mr. Yu's kind voice came through the receiver, saying, "Shuwei, are you mentally prepared?" "I'm all prepared," Shun Shuwei said confidently on WeChat. "Good, be sure to come up on time later." "Okay, got it." At 10 o'clock, Shun Shuwei waited outside the conference room as instructed by Old Master Yu, ready to enter after he finished speaking. After the meeting began, Old Master Yu, seated at the head of the table, addressed the directors present with a stern expression. "Everyone, the purpose of this meeting, besides discussing several investment plans, is also for me to recommend a candidate to join the board of directors." "Oh, Chairman. Who are you thinking of recommending?" Old Master Yu clapped his hands, and the two doors of the conference room were pushed open by the secretary. Shun Shuwei, in high heels, walked in gracefully and stood beside her grandfather. Isn't this General Manager Shun from the Heir Project Department? The chairman wants to recommend General Manager Shun to the board of directors." "Why is that?" "General Manager Shun is good at her job, but to join the board of directors, she's not qualified enough, is she?" "Exactly. Did President Shun slip the chairman some kind of potion?" After Shun Shuwei walked in, the directors kept murmuring among themselves, everyone puzzled. How could it be her? Ahem. Old Man Yu's throat felt a bit itchy, and he let out a few dry coughs. Shun Shuwei reacted swiftly, immediately picking up the water glass from the table and handing it to Old Man Yu. The directors present suddenly understood. Was it because she had good judgment and knew how to flatter? Old Master Yu took a few sips of warm water to moisten his throat, then slowly began, "Allow me to formally introduce the person standing next to me." The directors looked at Old Master Yu with surprise. They all knew President Shun. So did he really need an introduction? Had Old Master Yu become confused? Although they were grumbling inwardly, the directors were all sensible and did not interrupt Old Master Yu. "Her name is Shun Shuwei. She is the general manager of Heir Jewelry under our group, and she's the renowned designer Vivi Shun, as everyone already knows." Old Man Yu continued. "Additionally, she is also my granddaughter." After hearing Old Man Yu's words, all the directors present showed expressions of shock. Usually, Old Man Yu and Shun Shuwei didn't seem like acquaintances. No one expected her to be his granddaughter. She kept it well hidden. "Shuwei is my granddaughter, and she holds 10% of the shares. She is fully qualified to join the board of directors." Old Man Yu's sharp gaze swept across the room. "Gentlemen, I assume there are no objections." "No, no objections." All the board members nodded one after another, indicating they had no objections to the matter. They were certainly reluctant to let Shun Shuwei join the board, but they couldn't find any grounds to oppose it. In terms of status, Shun Shuwei is a renowned jewelry designer and also Mr. Yu's biological granddaughter. In terms of contributions to the company, after Shun Shuwei took over Harry Jewelry, its performance has increased more than tenfold, and she has even enhanced brand recognition. Her workability is beyond reproach. In terms of group shares, Shun Shuwei owns 10% of the shares, and half of the directors present hold fewer shares than her. Considering all aspects, the directors could not find any point of contention and could only nod in agreement. Old Master Yu said to everyone, "Since no one has anything to say, let's start the show of hands vote now." It was undoubtedly a unanimous vote, with all directors present raising their hands in agreement. Shun Shuwei smiled gently and said a few polite words. "I would like to thank all uncles for your support. With everyone's decisions, the company will surely achieve long-term success." Seeing Shun Shuwei's humble and polite demeanor, The expressions of the directors softened somewhat. In their eyes, Shun Shui was just an inexperienced young man. What kind of big waves could he stir up? The future direction of the group's decisions would still rely on them, these old bones, to steer the ship. Chapter 116. Shun Rui actively invites Ningguani. After the meeting, Shun Shui followed Old Master Yu and walked out of the conference room together. Grandpa, Ziyue is coming to pick me up for dinner. You should join us too, Shun Shui said to the old man. All right, the old man nodded slightly. Has he arrived yet? Should we head over first? I'll give him a call and ask. Shun Shui took out her phone, intending to call Jiyu Ziyue, but first saw a message from him. Jiyu Ziyue, Shui, I'm already downstairs at your company. Just come down when you're done. Grandpa, he's already downstairs. Let's go. The secretary nearby pressed the elevator button. Shun Shui and Old Man Yu took the elevator down and walked out of the lobby together. It was just lunchtime, and many colleagues were heading downstairs to eat. Everyone who saw Shun Shui walking so closely with Old Man Yu showed surprised expressions. Not far from the office building's entrance, a black Bentley was parked. Seeing Grandpa Yu appear, Jiyu Ziyue got out of the car to greet him. Grandfather, please get in the car, Jiyu Ziyue said as he opened the rear door. Grandpa Yu gave a slight hum and nodded at Jiyu Ziyue before bending down to enter the car. Shun Shui sat in the front passenger seat. Jiyu Ziyue got in, fastened his seatbelt, and drove toward the restaurant. The crowd of onlookers didn't quite grasp the full story, so they started probing for information in small WeChat groups. Some even went as far as to inquire with Jiang Lu. Jiang Lu usually ordered takeout and ate at her workstation, while she was having her meal. A few gossip-loving female colleagues approached her. They asked Jiang Lu, we just saw Director Shen leave the company with the chairman. Since when have they become so close? Jiang Lu casually replied, it's just having a meal together, no big deal. Right, I heard that when Old Man Yu was talking to President Shen, he even patted her on the shoulder. Hearing this, Jiang Lu frowned slightly with displeasure. Don't listen to such talk, and don't spread such rumors. The chairman could be President Shen's grandfather. There's nothing between them. The person quickly explained, that's not what we meant. We were just curious. I'm not clear about Mr. Shen's affairs either. After saying this, Jiang Lu lowered her head and continued eating, even pulling out her tablet to watch a TV show. It was clear Jiang Lu didn't want to discuss the matter with them, so they had no choice but to walk away. Feeling awkward, Shun Shui was around the same age as them, yet she managed to become a general manager, and now it seemed she had even gotten close to the chairman. It was inevitable that some people would be jealous. Seizing every opportunity to gossip behind her back, Shun Shui and her husband, along with Old Man Yu, went to a private kitchen restaurant for a meal. After the meal, Jiyu Ziyue drove Shun Shui and Old Man Yu back to the company. Some employees were whispering among themselves, but their words didn't reach Shun Shui's ears. Of course, even if she had heard, Shun Shui wouldn't have cared. The board's documents would be issued soon, and then everyone in the company would know about her relationship with Old Master Yu. At that time, those who spread rumors and believed them would be the only ones humiliated. Around 2 p.m., all employees of Yu's group received a notification in their internal email. Shun Shui officially joined the board of directors, becoming one of the directors of the group's board. The notice also mentioned Shun Shui's identity. She was Mr. Yu's biological granddaughter, and the rightful heir to the Yu group. After reading the notice, everyone was surprised, but no one dared to discuss Shun Shui anymore. Given Shun Shui's status, if they offended her, she could dismiss them at any time. Evening, at the Yu family villa, Mr. Yu sat on the sofa in the living room reading the newspaper, while Shun Rui quietly looked out at the large lawn in the garden through the floor-to-ceiling window. His expression was somewhat complex. The Shun Shui family of 4 moved into the Jiyu family's residence, and Ningguani naturally went there to give Jiyu Ruochen violin lessons. Shun Rui hadn't seen Ningguani for several days. Now, looking at the large lawn, he pictured her standing there teaching Jiyu Ruochen to play the violin. Since Ningguani no longer came to the Yu family, he wouldn't be able to see her. Old Man Yu glanced at Shun Rui, folded the newspaper, and called out, Ruia, Grandpa, what's the matter? Shun Rui withdrew his gaze and looked at Old Man Yu with confusion. Old Man Yu smiled and asked, "Do you have a bit of a thing for Ningguani? Don't try to hide it from me. You moved here mostly to see her, didn't you?" Shunrui thought for a moment, then nodded in admission. "I do like her. But now that my sister's family has moved to the Jiyu household, she doesn't need to come over for violin lessons anymore. Ruia, since you have feelings for her, you should take the initiative to pursue her. What's the point of just sitting here anxiously? Are you waiting for fate to drop a marriage in your lap?" Shunrui said softly. "But I don't know if she has any feelings for me. If you want to win over someone you like, you definitely need to be more proactive. Look at Ziyue. When he was pursuing Shuwei, he put in a lot of effort, sending flowers, gifts, going on vacations together, attending concerts, and even playing with the kids together." Old Man Yu glared at Shunrui. "If you don't act soon and Ningguani gets pursued by another man, you'll regret it, and it'll be too late. Grandpa, I want to ask her out too, but I'm afraid she'll refuse." Given the chaotic situation of the Shun family in recent years, Shunrui hasn't been in the mood for dating, lacking experience. He's naturally a bit at a loss now. "How will you know if you don't try?" Grandpa Yu sighed softly. "When pursuing a wife, you can't be afraid of rejection. You need to be thick-skinned. If you're rejected once, invite her out a few more times." "I understand. Thank you for your guidance, Grandpa." Shunrui immediately took action, checking his phone. It turned out there was a performance of Swan Lake touring Haicheng that very night. Swan Lake is a ballet, and Ningguani should enjoy watching it. The tickets were already sold out, but Shunrui found someone to help him buy two, then sent a message to Ningguani. "Shunrui, Miss Ning, I have 2 tickets for the Swan Lake performance. I'd like to invite you to go with me. Do you happen to be free?" Ningguani was currently giving Jiyu Ruochen a lesson, and it wasn't until half an hour later that she saw the message Shunrui had sent. She quickly typed a reply, "Sounds good." When Shunrui saw Ningguani's response, he pressed his lips together. Unable to hide the smile at the corners of his mouth, Old Man Yu said softly, "See, didn't she agree? Grandpa is brilliant." Shunrui excitedly hugged Old Master Yu, then went upstairs to change clothes, preparing to drive to the Jiyu family to pick up Ningguani, Jiyu family villa. After the violin lesson, the butler smiled at Ningguani and said, "Teacher Ning, you've worked hard. I've already arranged for a driver to take you back." Ningguani smiled sweetly. "You don't need to send me today. A friend will come to pick me up." Shunrui's car was parked by the fountain. After Ningguani got in, the car slowly drove away. Since it was almost time to enter, Shunrui didn't get out to talk to others and left immediately after picking up Ningguani. However, Jiyu Ruoshi, who was playing in the garden, still noticed Shunrui's car. "Mom, that looks like Uncle's car." Shun Shuwei and Jiyu Ruochen also looked in that direction. Just catching sight of the rear of the car, Jiyu Ruochen nodded and said, "That's right. Looking at the license plate, it is indeed Uncle's car." Jiyu Ruoshi tilted her little head, a puzzled expression on her face, and said, "Then why did Uncle leave as soon as he arrived, without even talking to us?" Shun Shuwei thought for a moment, then replied, "Because Uncle needs to take Teacher Ning home." Shun Shuwei was secretly delighted. Her brother, that blockhead, was finally taking action. It seemed like there was really something going on between her brother and Ningguani. Ningguani was beautiful and elegant, with a gentle and quiet personality. She usually got along very well with Shun Shuwei. If Ningguani could become her sister-in-law, Shun Shuwei would be very happy. Chapter 117. Two people drawing closer. After Ningguani got into the car and settled down, Shunrui handed her a paper bag. Shunrui apologized. "Wani, you must be hungry, right? I should have had dinner with you first before going to the show. However, it seems like there's not enough time. I can only ask you to have a little something to tide you over." "It's fine. I'm not very hungry. I had some fruit before teaching Chen Chen." Ningguani opened the bag, took out the cake and orange juice Shunrui had prepared, and ate a few bites. Ningguani had originally only intended to take a couple of polite bites, but she hadn't expected the strawberry cake to be so delicious. It wasn't as cloyingly sweet as other cakes. She finished the small piece of cake, unscrewed the orange juice and took a sip, then asked, "Where did you buy this cake? It's quite delicious." Shunrui smiled and replied, "This shop was opened by Shuei's sister-in-law. You can also have coffee there. I'll take you there next time for coffee." Sure, Ningguani responded softly. An indescribable emotion lingered between the two of them when sending the message to Ningguani. Shunrui had already mentally prepared himself for rejection. Unexpectedly, Ningguani actually agreed and was willing to attend the ballet performance with him. What he initially thought would be difficult turned out not to be so hard after taking the first step. As long as Ningguani was willing to take one step forward, Shunrui was ready to walk the remaining 99 steps. Arriving at the theater, they parked the car and stepped out, walking side by side toward the ticket entrance. While waiting in line to enter, Ningguani asked curiously, "By the way, how did you get the tickets? I tried to grab them when they were released but couldn't get any. I have a friend who works in ticketing, he helped me get them." Shunrui replied. The friend he mentioned was, of course, a scalper. Money makes the mare go. As long as you're willing to pay the price, you can always get tickets. Ningguani couldn't help but smile and said to him, "I should have asked you earlier. You can always ask me in the future. I can even get you the insider price, which is much more cost-effective." Shunrui was obviously talking nonsense with his eyes wide open. As Grandpa said, when pursuing the woman you like, you can't afford to care about face, alright? Ningguani didn't suspect anything and nodded gently, saying, "Do you also enjoy watching operas and stage plays? I used to come alone before, but perhaps in the future, we could arrange to come together." "Yes. I enjoy this type of performance. Next time there's a show, we can watch it together." Shunrui, "Tonight when I get back, I'll cram all the related materials." While the two were chatting, it was already their turn in line. Shunrui handed over the tickets and then led Ningguani to the middle seats in the front row. For these two seats, Shunrui really spent quite a bit of money. However, seeing Ningguani thoroughly enjoy herself made Shunrui feel the money was well spent. The ballet Swan Lake is Tchaikovsky's first dance composition. The dancer, with delicate emotions, graceful and elegant movements, and unwavering endurance, interprets the vastly different inner worlds of the black swan and the white swan. This ballet performance left the audience in awe, offering a dual feast for both the eyes and ears. Shunrui was initially uninterested in such performances, but as he settled down to appreciate it slowly, he gradually grasped the profound meaning of this ballet. After the show, Shunrui couldn't stop discussing his impressions with Ningguani. Shunrui and Ningguani's thoughts were quite similar, which seemed to bring the two even closer together. By the time they left the performance theater, it was almost 9 in the evening. Concerned that Ningguani might be hungry, Shunrui noticed several restaurants nearby and suggested, "How about we go to that hot pot place, or maybe a Western restaurant?" Ningguani glanced around and said, "Let's go for hot pot." Entering the hot pot restaurant, Shunrui and Ningguani sat across from each other at the table, each looking at the menu in their hands. "Wani, do you eat spicy food? If you can't handle the heat, we can order a split pot." Ningguani replied with a smile. "I can handle spicy food quite well. Then let's get a spicy beef tallow broth." After ordering the hot pot base, the two also selected a variety of side dishes, including beef and lamb, as well as items like shrimp paste. Eating the spicy hot pot, Ningguani's face turned a rosy red. Shunrui couldn't take his eyes off Ningguani, wanting so badly to kiss her fair, blushing cheeks. Ningguani wiped her face with a tissue and asked, "Is there something dirty on my face?" "No. There's a bit of sweat on your forehead." "Oh, I tend to sweat easily when I eat spicy food." Ningguani quickly wiped her forehead again and smiled sheepishly. After finishing the hot pot, Shunrui drove Ningguani home. The Ning family comes from a scholarly background. Ning's father is a university professor, and her mother is a music conductor. Though not extremely wealthy, the family was comfortably well off, owning a house in the city center and able to afford sending their daughter abroad for studies. The car stopped at the entrance of the residential area. Ningguani smiled and said, "Shunrui, thank you so much today for letting me enjoy such a wonderful ballet performance." "Don't mention it, I had a great time too. May I invite you out again next time?" Shunrui replied with a warm smile. "Of course." Ningguani nodded gently, then added, "I'll head upstairs now. Goodbye Tilda." "Okay. Bye Tilda." Shunrui waved to Ningguani with one hand while holding the steering wheel with the other. Shunrui watched as Ningguani walked through the neighborhood gate, his gaze lingering until her figure completely disappeared before he reluctantly drove home. Ning Guani walked through her front door with light, cheerful steps. Her parents were sitting on the couch watching TV. Seeing their daughter return so late, her mother immediately asked with concern, "Guani, were you busy until this hour? Are you hungry? Let me make you a bowl of noodles." Ning's mother stood up as she spoke, ready to go to the kitchen and prepare some late-night snacks for her daughter. "Mom, there's no need," Ning Guani said, pulling her mother back to sit down with a smile. "I wasn't working overtime tonight. I went to see a ballet performance with a friend and then had hot pot afterward. My stomach is still full and round." Ning's father chimed in. That's good. It's nice to have time to go out for meals and shows with friends. Relaxing a bit is great too." I had a really good time tonight." Ning Guani nodded thoughtfully. Ning Guani could sense that Shun Rui probably had feelings for her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited her to the ballet performance. As for her feelings toward Shun Rui, she had likely developed a fondness for him too. Every time she spoke with Shun Rui, she felt an inexplicable joy and excitement in her heart. Sometimes even experiencing a racing heartbeat. Chapter 118. Lin Yunyu is released from prison. The peaceful times slipped away like flowing water. 1 month later, at Haicheng Third Women's Prison, beside the prison's large iron gate, a small iron door was opened from the inside. Lin Yunyu stepped over the threshold and walked out of the prison gates, although Old Master Lin had already fallen from power at the last moment. He exerted all his strength to secure Lin Yunyu's sentence reduction by agreeing not to reveal certain matters in exchange. Many people have compromising information held by Old Man Lin, so they had no choice but to maneuver to get Lin Yunyu released early. Lin Yunyu looked up at the blazing sun on the horizon. Though autumn had arrived, the weather was still somewhat hot. Lin Yunyu had already heard about the downfall of Old Master Lin while in prison, and she was so distraught that she cried for several days. As a result, the women sharing her cell found her crying too noisy and beat her until she was bruised and swollen. Too afraid to cry anymore, Lin Yunyu could only curl up on her bed, staring blankly at the iron bars. Now, more than 2 months later, she has come to accept reality. Lin Yunyu still had over 1,000 yuan in cash on her, money she had with her when she was imprisoned and was returned by the prison guards upon her release. Originally, Lin Yunyu had held on to a glimmer of hope, thinking that only her domestic assets had been confiscated and that her overseas properties might still be safe. Standing at the prison gate, Lin Yunyu made a call to an old subordinate of her grandfather. It was only then that she learned all her overseas assets had also been seized. She stood there in shock, frozen in place for a very, very long time, dizzy from the sun's heat. Lin Yunyu finally snapped back to reality and stepped forward, buying a bottle of ice-cold mineral water from a roadside convenience store. After a few sips of the icy water, feeling the chill travel from her throat to her heart, goosebumps rose on Lin Yunyu's arms. Gone. Everything of the Lin family was completely gone. The Lin family had transferred their vast fortune abroad. There is $300 million in foreign banks, and 52 properties have been purchased overseas. If these assets had not been recovered by the relevant authorities, they would have been more than enough to ensure Lin Yunyu's financial security for life. But now, everything is gone. Lin Yunyu doesn't know where she can go. Her grandfather has been sentenced to life imprisonment, and the other relatives of the Lin family probably don't welcome her either. She had no place to live, nor any relatives to turn to. Lin Yunyu scrolled through her phone contacts, and her gaze suddenly fixed on the name Qin Wen. In the past, Lin Yunyu had a very good relationship with Qin Wen, who was like her little follower. Because of this, Lin Yunyu often looked out for the Qin family, frequently sharing insider information she heard from Old Master Lin with Qin Wen, which brought the Qin family many benefits. Lin Yunyu acted faster than she could think, walking to the roadside and hailing a yellow taxi. After getting in the car, Lin Yunyu told the driver the address of the Qin family villa. When the taxi reached the entrance of the villa area, it was stopped by a security guard. The security guard said expressionlessly, "Outside vehicles and visitors are not allowed to enter." The taxi driver turned to Lin Yunyu and said, "Miss, you'll have to get off here. They won't let us drive in. There's nothing I can do." "Fine. Got it." Lin Yunyu reluctantly paid the fare, pushed the car door open, and stepped out. Lin Yunyu walked up to the gate, frowning at the security guard. Open the gate. Can't I just walk in? I've made it very clear. No outsiders allowed, the security guard replied coldly. I may not be a homeowner here, but I'm a friend of Miss Chin and have been in and out many times. Lin Yunyu glared at the security guard in front of her. Are you new here? Haven't you seen me before? Not new, I've been working here for 2 years, never seen you come in or out. You'd better check with Miss Chin first, only if she agrees can I let you in. Lin Yunyu took a deep breath, suppressing her anger, and pulled out her phone from her bag to call Chin Wen. After about half a minute of ringing, Chin Wen finally answered the call. Hello, Yunyu, are you out? Yeah, just got out today. Haven't seen you in months, so I thought I'd drop by your place. Didn't expect to get stopped by security at the gate, Lin Yunyu said matter-of-factly. Chin Wen, have your driver come pick me up. This villa district covers a vast area, and the Chin family villa is located deep inside. Walking there would take at least 20 minutes. Chin Wen replied over the phone. Oh, what bad timing. The drivers are all busy right now. You'll have to walk in. Sorry, Tilda. Lin Yunyu frowned and said, alright, then I'll walk in. See you in a bit. See you in a bit. After the call ended, Lin Yunyu glanced at the security guard. You heard everything just now, didn't you? Lin Yunyu had the call on speakerphone, so naturally, the security guard heard it. Please come in. The security guard opened the gate and let Lin Yunyu enter. Lin Yunyu walked for over 20 minutes, sweating profusely from the heat, before finally reaching the Chin family villa. Chin Wen did not come out to greet Lin Yunyu as she usually did, only an old maid led the way, taking her into the living room. Chin Wen sat on the sofa with her legs crossed, leisurely sipping coffee. When she saw Lin Yunyu walk in, she set down her cup and said, Yunyu, take that sofa over there, long time no see. When Lin Yunyu walked over with a smile, but when she noticed a large white cloth deliberately placed on the sofa, her smile faded. What does this mean? Do you think I'm dirty? Chin Wen chuckled lightly. Yunyu, you've just come out from there, so it's inevitable you'd carry some unpleasant air. It's just a piece of cloth laid down. I'm sure you won't mind. The unpleasant air was a veiled reference to Lin Yunyu's supposed bad luck. Lin Yunyu swallowed her anger and forced a faint smile as she sat down on the white cloth. She had come to Chin Wen this time to ask for a favor. She wanted to borrow some money from her. I only have a little over 1,000 yuan on me now, and it'll be gone in a couple of days, not even enough to rent a place. The servant brought over some fruits and pastries, placing them in front of Lin Yunyu. Lin Yunyu hadn't eaten well in prison, and at the sight of the fruits and pastries before her, she couldn't help but swallow hard. Chin Wen seemed to read Lin Yunyu's thoughts and said with a smile, Yunyu, have some fruits and pastries, don't stand on ceremony with me, I'm not really hungry either. Despite saying this, Lin Yunyu couldn't control her hands, picking up a few blueberries and grapes and continuously stuffing them into her mouth. Seeing Lin Yunyu's greedy look, Chin Wen bit her lip, holding back laughter until her stomach ached. In the past, Chin Wen was Lin Yunyu's little follower, always trying to please her in every way. When they went out to eat and drink together, Chin Wen would pour tea and wine, and also foot the bill. Going shopping together, Chin Wen carried all the bags and even paid the bill. Now that the Lin family has fallen from power, Chin Wen actually didn't want to see Lin Yunyu again. But then Chin Wen thought again, no. She should go see Lin Yunyu in her miserable state and take the opportunity to vent her own anger. Before long, all the fruits and snacks on the coffee table had been devoured by Lin Yunyu. Lin Yunyu chatted with Chin Wen, reminiscing about old times, while eating, overtly and covertly. Lin Yunyu kept mentioning the care she had previously shown to the Chin family and Chin Wen. However, Chin Wen's expression remained indifferent. After chatting for a while and filling her stomach, Lin Yunyu finally stated the purpose of her visit. Chin Wen, could you lend me some money? Once I start working and earning, I'll definitely pay you back as soon as possible. Chapter 119. You are a stray dog. Chin Wen played with her nails, the several tiny diamonds on her manicure sparkling with a dazzling light. Oh, I think I forgot something important. Gigi and Shanshan asked me to go shopping. Chin Wen curved her lips and said to Lin Yunyu, Yunyu, let's go shopping first. And after we're done, we can slowly talk about other things. Lin Yunyu looked down at her clothes and said softly, but I'm not really dressed for shopping right now. Oh, if you're not coming shopping with me, then I won't be in the mood to keep chatting with you, Qin Wen said, her tone carrying a hint of assertiveness. After speaking, Qin Wen went straight upstairs to change. Back in her room, Qin Wen rummaged through her clothes while holding her phone, starting a group chat. After Yao Jiji and Chen Shan both answered, Qin Wen excitedly said to them, "Girls, let's go shopping together, Tilda." Chen Shan lazily replied, "Didn't we just go shopping the other day? Are we going again today?" Yao Jiji also said, When, we've already seen all the latest styles recently. Shopping isn't that fun anymore. Let me tell you, today's shopping trip is definitely going to be interesting." Chen Shan asked in surprise, "Tell me, what's the fun thing?" "Because we have Lin Yunyu as our follower." Qin Wen's voice carried a hint of pride. "Huh, she's out," Yao Jiji said. "Then I must go join the fun. I want to go too. See you later." Lin Yunyu had always been someone who borrowed power from the tiger's might, because her grandfather held a high position. She carried herself with an air of superiority, looking down on everyone. Given the chance to see Lin Yunyu make a fool of herself, Yao Jiji and Chen Shan certainly wouldn't miss it. About 10 minutes later, Qin Wen changed her clothes and walked downstairs, stopping beside Lin Yunyu to look down at her with a condescending gaze. "Made up your mind, going or not? After I finish shopping and my mood improves, everything can be discussed." Qin Wen's implication was clear. If Lin Yunyu was willing to accompany her shopping, the matter of borrowing money could be discussed. Otherwise, not a chance. When, since you want to go shopping, of course I can't spoil your fun." Lin Yunyu reluctantly conceded. If she turned and left now, Lin Yunyu had no idea who else she could borrow money from. "Let's go then." Qin Wen directly threw her bag at Lin Yunyu, signaling for her to carry it. Lin Yunyu lowered her head, biting the tip of her tongue to suppress her grievances as she carried Qin Wen's bag and followed her into the car. After meeting Yao Jiji and Chen Shan at the mall, Lin Yunyu forced herself to stay composed and greeted them. Accompanying Qin Wen on this shopping trip, Lin Yunyu had already anticipated in the car that today would not be easy. Yao Jiji glanced at Lin Yunyu and said with a smile, "Oh, isn't this Miss Lin, finally out of jail?" Chen Shan covered her mouth and chuckled, saying, "Shopping is boring for us too. Why don't you tell us some interesting stories from jail?" Qin Wen echoed. Exactly. I'm also very curious and want to hear what happened to you in jail." Lin Yunyu forced a smile and whispered, "It was just eating and sleeping on time every day, nothing special." Yao Jiji pouted and snorted, "If you don't want to talk, then get lost. Who wants to play with you? Look at how shabby you are." Lin Yunyu once again mentally prepared herself, telling herself to be patient and that it would be over in a few hours. And so, as they shopped, Lin Yunyu stood by like a storyteller, recounting events that happened in prison. After finishing the true stories, Lin Yunyu began to fabricate tales. Rambling on, Yao Jiji found it uninteresting and called for a stop, telling her not to continue. After visiting several clothing stores, Lin Yunyu was carrying over a dozen bags in her hands, and her expression showed that the bags were quite heavy. The shopping trio entered a shoe store, walked around, and selected over a dozen pairs of shoes to try on. The clerk found the shoe sizes and crouched down to help them try on the shoes. "No need, she'll help us put them on." Qin Wen pointed to Lin Yunyu, who was standing by. "All right." The sales assistant assumed Lin Yunyu was their maid, so she stepped aside with a clear conscience, letting Lin Yunyu attend to them. Lin Yunyu's eyes widened as she looked at Qin Wen, barely able to believe what she had heard. She had bossed them around before, but never to this extent. At most, they just have them pour tea or serve wine and the like. "Yunyu, what are you standing there for?" Qin Wen glanced at the shoes placed on the carpet and said, "Start with those black high heels first. I want to try on every pair." Lin Yunyu clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging painfully into her palms. She could turn and leave right now, but then all the anger she'd endured for most of the day would have been for nothing. Lin Yunyu crouched down, picked up the high heels, and helped Qin Wen put them on. "That's not right. I saw the staff kneeling on one knee," Chen Shan said, then looked up at the staff member and asked, "Isn't that so?" The staff member paused for a moment before replying, "Yes, we kneel on one knee to serve our customers." At that moment, Lin Yunyu felt an unprecedented sense of humiliation, but she had no choice. She could only lower her head again and kneel on one knee to serve Qin Wen. At this moment, Chen Shan took out her phone from her bag and recorded a video of this scene. Lin Yunyu took turns serving the three of them, starting with shame and embarrassment, but gradually becoming numb, just wanting it to end as soon as possible. After shopping for several hours, they grew tired and took Lin Yunyu out to eat. While they were eating, Lin Yunyu stood by the dining table, serving them soup, arranging dishes, and pouring tea and water. After finishing dinner, the three of them had had enough fun and were ready to drive home. When you promised that if I accompanied you shopping, you'd agree to lend me the money. Lin Yunyu tugged at Qin Wen's clothes, not letting her leave. Qin Wen brushed off Lin Yunyu's hand and sneered, "Oh, I don't recall saying anything like that. You're actually playing me." Lin Yunyu had endured so much humiliation today, all to get Qin Wen to agree to lend her the money. But Qin Wen is now turning her back and denying it. Qin Wen laughed a few times before speaking. "I said we could discuss it. It seems I never agreed to anything. Does that count as tricking you?" Yao Zhizhi curled her lips into a sly smile as she took out 2,000 yuan from her bag and scattered the bills on the floor. She said to Lin Yunyu, "You're really short on money, aren't you? As long as you pick it up with your mouth, all this money on the floor is yours." This behavior was extremely humiliating. Lin Yunyu really wanted to give up, but she had no one to rely on now, nor a place to stay. She had no other choice. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Yunyu knelt on both knees, bent her upper body, and used her lips to pick up the money from the ground, gathering it one bill at a time. At that moment, Chen Shan pressed the shutter again, capturing every undignified image of Lin Yunyu and sharing them in the three-person WeChat group. After watching Lin Yunyu pick up the money with her mouth, Qin Wen opened the car door and sat in the driver's seat of the sports car. "Lin Yunyu, without the Lin family, you're nothing. You can only beg like a stray dog, wagging your tail for scraps. Hihi." With that, Qin Wen drove off in a huff, leaving Lin Yunyu standing alone, covering her face and weeping bitterly. Chapter 120. Lin Yunyu seeks the Jiyu family's help. That same night, an anonymous individual posted a video online, which quickly surged to the top of the trending list and sparked heated discussions. The video's title read, "Shocking. The granddaughter of a disgraced corrupt official crawls on the ground like a dog, picking up money with her mouth." This title wasn't devised by Qin Wen and her team. They consulted professionals to craft attention-grabbing wording specifically for this purpose. In the video, Lin Yunyu was seen half-kneeling to put shoes on someone, serving tea and water, and finally lying on the ground to pick up scattered money with her mouth. Of course, Qin Wen and her friends weren't fools. They didn't reveal their faces in the video, at most showing only their hands and feet. After the video was posted, Qin Wen even paid for a lot of exposure, causing Lin Yunyu's humiliating behavior to spread rapidly online. Many people have been condemning the actions of old man Lin, who embezzled so much money, all of it taxpayers' money. Most netizens are criticizing Lin Yunyu, thinking she deserves it. After enjoying so many years of comfort, it's about time she suffers a little. However, there are still some overly compassionate people sympathizing with Lin Yunyu's plight, believing she shouldn't be tormented like this. They argue that she might not have known about the things old Master Lin did. Qin Wen was so furious after reading these sanctimonious comments that she couldn't sleep late into the night. She grabbed her hair, punched her pillow a few times, and roared, "How can anyone still sympathize with her? Do they think she's some kind of saint?" Since she couldn't sleep anyway, Qin Wen simply exposed all the things Lin Yunyu had done. For example, Lin Yunyu was once arrested by the police for drugging a man and had just been released from prison. Another example is how Lin Yunyu usually bullies others by relying on her power. Lin Yunyu even went as far as to not spare a 3-year-old child. At a banquet, she secretly locked a little girl in a wardrobe. Qin Wen mentioned at the end that Lin Yunyu had spent many years abroad, living a life of debauchery and extravagance. Lin Yunyu was an SVIP member at all major luxury brands. When she shopped at Hermes, it was as casual as an ordinary person buying cabbage. Each and every one of these revelations left netizens utterly shocked. Qin Wen wasn't making baseless claims. She also attached some audio recordings and partial chat logs as evidence. It can be fully proven that everything she said is true, in places unseen by ordinary people. There have long been infestations of, "Is Lin Yunyu innocent?" Of course, she's not innocent. The money she spent lavishly was all taxpayers' money, after Chin Wen exposed Lin Yunua's scandal. All those self-righteous people online went silent and quietly deleted their previous comments. Anyone with a normal moral compass wouldn't sympathize with Lin Yunu. Lin Yunu deserves all the bullying she's getting now. She used to treat others the same way. Early the next morning, at the Jiyu family villa, Shun Shui woke up very early. She walked to the window and pulled open the curtains, revealing a vibrant green outside. After washing up, Shun Shui sat on the sofa playing with her phone. It was then that she saw the video about Lin Yunu, as well as the expose post. Shun Shui stared at the screen, eagerly devouring the juicy gossip. She was so engrossed that she didn't even notice Jiyu Zua walking up beside her. Jiyu Zua hugged her from behind and planted a kiss on her cheek. "Good morning, my love." Shun Shui then turned to look at him, smiling as she gently touched his face and said softly, "You're awake, what are you looking at? You didn't even notice me coming over." Jiyu Zua sat down beside Shun Shui, wrapping an arm around her waist with a lazy, carefree posture, the collar of his robe slightly open. "I'm reading gossip about Lin Yunu," Shun Shui said with great interest. No idea who's targeting her, but she's really been dealt a harsh blow. Jiyu Zua's brows furrowed slightly, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. "Oh, she's out already. Seems old Master Lin still dotes on his granddaughter, even when he can barely protect himself. He went all out to reduce Lin Yunua's sentence." Shun Shui shook her head and said, "No idea about the details. In any case, she was released a few months early. Let her be, she can't stir up any trouble anyway." Jiyu Zua wasn't very interested in Lin Yunua's affairs, so he got up to wash and change clothes. More than 10 minutes later, Shun Shui and Jiyu Zua went downstairs together to have breakfast. While the family was having breakfast, the butler entered the dining room and stood beside old Master Jiyu, reporting, "Master Jiyu, Lin Yunu says she wants to see you." Old Master Jiyu said calmly, "Ignore her, and don't let her in." Shun Shui slightly raised an eyebrow and turned to exchange a glance with Jiyu Zua. Just moments ago, she and Jiyu Zua had been discussing Lin Yunu, and now, unexpectedly, Lin Yunu had come knocking at their door. What exactly is Lin Yunu up to? After finishing breakfast, old Master Jiyu looked up at the butler and asked, "Is she still here?" The butler immediately replied, "She's still here. She said she wouldn't leave today until she saw you. Since that's the case, I'll go see what else she wants." Old Master Jiyu stood up and walked out with the butler. "Let's go take a look too." Shun Shui wanted to watch the show, so she pulled Jiyu Zua up and followed them. Lin Yunu was stopped outside the large iron gate when she saw old Master Jiyu appear. She grabbed the hollow iron gate and excitedly shouted, "Grandpa Jiyu, it's Yunu. They're stopping me, not letting me in." Old Master Jiyu walked up to Lin Yunu, looked at her through the door, and said in a calm tone, "I told them to stop you." Lin Yunu was shocked, her face showing an expression of disbelief. "Grandpa Jiyu, you and my grandpa are old comrades in arms, and our two families have always had a good relationship. Just because my grandpa is now locked up, you won't even let me in the door." Hearing Lin Yunua's shameless words, Shun Shui couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Yunu looked behind old Master Jiyu and saw Shun Shui holding Jiyu Zua's arm, walking towards her. Her eyes instantly reddened. "Shun Shui, why are you here?" Lin Yunu glared at Shun Shui with venomous eyes. "Have you remarried Ziyue? Did you use the child to threaten him and force him to remarry you?" Shun Shui looked up at Jiyu Ziyue and asked in a soft voice, "Husband, did I force you to remarry me?" Jiyu Ziyue quickly clarified his feelings. "Of course not. It was me who proposed to you several times before you agreed to remarry. I was the one begging you, not you forcing me." Shun Shui's face blossomed into a radiant smile as she said to Lin Yunu, "Sorry, but he was the one begging me to remarry." Lin Yunu gritted her teeth in anger but could do nothing about Shun Shui. She turned her face to old Master Jiyu, "Grandpa Jiyu, for the sake of the wartime friendship between you and my grandfather, please help me." Lin Yunu pinched her own arm hard, and tears immediately fell. "Please help me delete those slanderous posts about me online. Please lend me some money. I can barely survive anymore." Chapter 121. Going to the club for horse riding. Facing Lin Yunua's tear-streaked face, Shun Shui and his wife, as well as old Master Jiyu, showed no change in their expressions. Their expressions seemed to say, about to die. What does that have to do with me? Lin Yunyu cried for a while until her eyes ran out of tears. Seeing that old Master Jiyu had no reaction, she could only awkwardly wipe the corners of her eyes. Grandpa Jiyu, I'm truly at my wit's end. Please help me. Lin Yunyu knelt directly before old Master Jiyu, her knees on the ground. Yunyu, if you hadn't done those things, I definitely wouldn't stand by now. You drugged my grandson, and before that, you locked my great-granddaughter in the closet. Do you think I would still help you? Lin Yunyu's lips moved slightly, as if she wanted to argue. Old Master Jiyu said in a deep voice, you don't need to quibble. The police have already arrested you. There's nothing more to say, whether you admit it or not. These are all facts. Lin Yunyu hung her head, not speaking. Yes, she had already been sentenced to prison. Her denial was useless. She knew very well that coming to the Jiyu family was just to try her luck. Hoping that if old Master Jiyu softened and, for her grandfather's sake, was willing to help. All right, you should go back, old Master Jiyu said earnestly. Yunyu, I hope you'll be more down-to-earth in the future and stop having crooked thoughts. Having said all that needed to be said, old Master Jiyu turned and walked back. Shen Shuwei and Jiyu Ziyue followed closely behind. Upon returning to the main villa, Shen Shuwei went upstairs to the children's room, where Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi were playing with remote control cars. Shen Shuwei walked in and softly told the two children, Chen Chen, 11:11, Mommy and Daddy are going out soon, so you two be good and play at home. Jiyu Ruoshi put down the remote control and scurried over. Hugging Shen Shuwei's leg, she asked in a sweet, soft voice, Mommy, where are you and Daddy going? Shen Shuwei stroked the little braid on her daughter's head and said, we're going to the equestrian club to ride horses, so we can't take you. Why not? I want to see the foals. Can I? Jiyu Ruoshi turned to look at her brother. Brother wants to go too, right? Looking at Jiyu Ruoshi's bright eyes, Jiyu Ruochen smiled and nodded. Yes, I want to go to the equestrian club too, Shen Shuwei softly said. All right, but when you get there, you can't run around, otherwise, it will be dangerous. Jiyu Ruoshi's chubby face broke into a sweet smile, and she quickly agreed, got it, we won't run around. Shen Shuwei took the two little ones downstairs, spread her hands helplessly, and said, Chen Chen and 11:11 also said they want to go see the stables. Jiyu Ziyue nodded indifferently. Okay, then let's take them along. Li Peiji heard that her grandson and granddaughter were going to the stables, and said to Shen Shuwei, since you're going to the stables to play, bring the children's riding gear and protective equipment too. Shen Shuwei was stunned for a moment, then slowly said, Mom, I haven't bought riding gear and protective equipment for the children yet. I know, Li Peiji said, I mean I bought them for the children, and they're in the cloakroom of the children's room. Shen Shuwei nodded and replied, then I'll go upstairs and look for them. I hadn't noticed them before, I know where it is. I'll go upstairs with you. Li Peiji stood up and walked upstairs with Shen Shuwei. Li Peiji walked into the children's room changing room and quickly found a storage box, from which she took out 2 sets of protective gear and 2 riding outfits. Shen Shuwei couldn't help but smile. Mom, you're still so thoughtful. You even prepared riding outfits for the children, Li Peiji said with a loving expression. Children over 3 can learn equestrianism. I just wanted to buy them and have them ready. Who knows, they might be used soon. It's ready to use now. Shen Shuwei packed up the riding gear and protective equipment, then carried them downstairs. Upon hearing they could go horseback riding at the stable, Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi were overjoyed. More than 2 hours later, the family of 4 drove to the stable located in the suburbs. This equestrian club is owned by the Ji family and has not yet officially opened to the public. These past few days, it has only hosted designated friends. Because I had to go upstairs to find the children's riding outfits, it delayed us for a little while, and the other friends had already arrived. It was the same group of friends from the last seaside vacation. Jiyu Ziyue's 2 buddies, plus Sheng Sangyu. Jiyu Shiyu had gone out on a date with Qiao Yang, so she couldn't make it to join the fun. As soon as the 2 little ones got out of the car, they took the initiative to greet the others. Guai Qiao and sensible, Jiyu Ziyue's appearance made Jiang Yi and Ji Jingzhan incredibly envious of him. The 2 of them were still single, while Jiyu Ziyue was already happily married, with his beloved wife by his side and 2 adorable little ones. the group first went to the changing rooms to change clothes. Jiyu Ruochan was taken to the men's changing room by Jiyu Zeue, while Jiyu Ruoshi followed Shun Shuwei to the women's changing room. The riding attire was quite complex to put on. Shun Shuwei first helped Jiyu Ruoshi change, and then went to change her own. Dressed in riding attire and wearing protective gear, they walked out of the changing room. Ji Jingzhan had specifically arranged for 2 gentle ponies for Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi to ride. Moreover, 2 instructors were specially assigned to the children, one to teach them how to ride and the other to ensure their safety. The pony is so cute. Jiyu Ruoshi blinked her big eyes and mustered the courage to pet it. Jiyu Ruochan was already seated on the pony's saddle, back straight, hands holding the reins, looking very elegant. The coach was lecturing Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi, explaining the basic knowledge of horsemanship. Both coaches were very professional. After a few words of instruction, Shun Shuwei also prepared to ride around. She stroked the horse's neck, and once the horse was accustomed to her presence, she held the safety ring, stepped into the stirrup, and agilely swung herself onto the horse. Sitting on the saddle, Shun Shuwei suddenly forgot how to control the reins. She turned her head to look at Jiyu Zeue and whispered, "Zeue, I haven't ridden a horse in too long. I've forgotten how to control it." The last time Shun Shuwei rode a horse was when she was a child. Her mother took her twice, after many years. She really couldn't remember clearly. "I'll teach you." Jiyu Zeue dismounted and slowly walked to Shun Shuwei's side. "It's actually very simple. To start, gently squeeze the horse's belly with your legs. To turn left, pull the reins to the left. To turn right, pull to the right. Pulling both together will stop the horse." "Okay, I'll try." Shun Shuwei followed Jiyu Zeue's instructions and quickly grasped a few tricks. "Shuwei, you haven't ridden a horse in a long time, so don't rush to ride too fast. I'll accompany you for a few slow laps." Jiyu Zeue rode his horse, following Shun Shuwei unhurriedly. Sheng Sungyu was an excellent rider. Before long, she and Ji Jingzhan were racing their horses to see who would reach the finish line first. There was also a wager for their horse race. The loser had to treat the winner to a big meal. Whether he won or lost, Ji Jingzhan felt like a winner, because he got to have dinner alone with Sheng Sungyu. Chapter 122, Willingly Lost. The equestrian center was located at the foot of the mountain, with lush green trees and vast, verdant grasslands stretching as far as the eye could see. Offering an expansive view, Jiangyi looked into the distance and saw 2 people leisurely riding horses on the grass. The one on the white steed was Shun Shuwei, while the one on the brown steed was Jiyu Zeue. Ji Jingzhan and Sheng Sungyu were racing each other, galloping ahead on their fast horses, and had long since disappeared from sight. Additionally, there were 2 young children, under the guidance of their instructor, slowly riding their horses forward. Jiangyi glanced around and realized, to his surprise, that he was the only one left alone. After pausing for a moment, Jiangyi still decided not to be a third wheel. Otherwise, he might be the one feeling awkward. He might as well go play with the cute children. Jiangyi tugged on the reins, rode his horse over to the 2 children, and asked in a clear voice, "Chenten, 1111, how do you feel about riding a horse for the first time?" Jiyu Ruoshi smiled and said to Jiangyi, "Uncle Jiang, you're here. I was a little scared at first, but I'm better now, Uncle Jiang. I feel like this is so much fun, and riding a horse is quite simple." Jiyu Ruochan was less nervous, so he quickly adapted to the bumpy ride on horseback. "Safety first, you 2 are just learning, so you must listen to the coach." In the time that followed, Jiangyi stayed by the 2 children's side, chatting and talking with them. Under Jiyu Zeue's guidance, Shun Shuwei became more and more familiar with controlling the horse and slowly began to ride faster. "Shuwei, I know there's a lake nearby. We can ride over to take a look." "Great, let's go." Shun Shuwei readily agreed. Jiyu Zeue rode ahead on his horse, with Shun Shuwei following not too far behind. The early autumn wind whistled past their ears. The wind carried the scent of nature's plants and trees. Before long, Shun Shuwei saw the lake. She pulled on the reins, slowly reducing her speed. It was a natural lake, with crystal clear water and a surface as calm as a mirror, reflecting the green mountains, clear waters, blue sky, and white clouds, beautiful as a painting. When they were about 10 meters from the lake, Jiyu Zeue pulled on the reins with both hands, bringing his horse to a stop. Shun Shui also stopped. Ji Yuziua dismounted, and while tying the reins to a wooden post, he turned to Shun Shui and said, "Shui, don't move yet, I'll come over and help you dismount." "Okay," Shun Shui replied, then sat still on the horse's back. Soon, Ji Yuziua walked over, put his hand on Shun Shui's waist, and as she turned sideways, he directly lifted her down. After tethering the white horse, Ji Yuziua pulled Shun Shui forward a few steps. Then he took off his jacket and laid it on the grass, and the two sat down on the ground. Shun Shui leaned her head on Ji Yuziua's shoulder and whispered, "The scenery here is so beautiful, and it feels so comfortable sitting here. Yes, that's why we came to play for a while before it officially opens. When there are more people, we won't be able to quietly enjoy the beautiful scenery." Ji Yuziua naturally reached out and put his arm around her waist, then turned his head and kissed her forehead. The couple quietly enjoyed their time alone together. The tranquility of the moment was only broken when Ji Yuziua's phone rang. The call was from Ji Jingzhan, who said it was about time for them to regroup and prepare for lunch. Ji Yuziua helped Shun Shui onto the horse, and the couple rode back to the starting point. The others had already returned ahead of them and were waiting for the two of them. As soon as Shun Shui dismounted, Ji Ruochen and Ji Ruoshi walked up to her, looking at her with admiration in their eyes, and said, "Mom, you're amazing, so cool." Ji Yuziua looked at the two little ones and asked with a smile, "What about Dad?" Ji Ruochen casually replied, "Not bad." Ji Ruoshi also said, "Not bad." Ji Yuziua twitched the corner of his mouth. "That's really perfunctory." There was no helping it. The two little ones were mostly focused on Shun Shui and didn't really pay attention to how well Ji Yuziua was riding. The group chatted and laughed as they followed Ji Jingzhan toward the restaurant. The Ji family has contracted several nearby mountains, developing not only a horse ranch but also a resort hotel and a farmhouse-style restaurant. They even specially built fish ponds, vegetable fields, and an orchard. Guests can fish in the ponds, enjoy the joy of picking vegetables in the fields, or pick fruits in the orchard, after having lunch at the restaurant. Shun Shui took the two children to the hotel room for their afternoon nap. The others went to the tea room to drink tea and chat. After the children fell asleep, Shun Shui went downstairs and walked towards the tea room. Inside Pincha Xian, the elegant aroma of tea permeated the air, and behind the hollow carved screen, the voices of friends could be heard. Shun Shui walked in and sat down in the empty seat next to Ji Yuziua. Ji Yuziua rolled up his sleeves, picked up the kettle, and poured hot water into the zisha teapot. The rising steam carried a hint of tea fragrance. He poured a cup of black tea and placed it in front of Shun Shui. Shun Shui took a sip of tea, then looked up at Sheng Sangyu and asked, "By the way, Sangyu, how was your match with Ji Jingzhan? Who won?" Sheng Sangyu smiled triumphantly. "Of course I won." "Is that so? Then you're truly amazing." Shun Shui smiled thoughtfully. Recalling that Ji Yuziua had once mentioned Ji Jingzhan's exceptional equestrian skills, which were almost at the level of a professional athlete, Ji Jingzhan must have gone easy on her. Otherwise, Sheng Sangyu couldn't have won. Putting down her teacup, Shun Shui asked another question. "So, what was your bet?" "The loser has to treat the winner to a meal." Sheng Sangyu looked at Ji Jingzhan, raising an eyebrow slightly. "Don't even think about backing out, everyone knows about it now." "I definitely won't back out." Ji Jingzhan's lips curved into a smile, a hint of joy hidden in his eyes. How could he back out? Thinking about it now, he was already impatient. Even if it meant treating Sheng Sangyu to meals for a lifetime, he would do it willingly. Chapter 123 Happy Times. Around 3 in the afternoon, a faint sound came from the phone. Shun Shui took out her phone and glanced at the surveillance screen. The two little ones had already woken up. Sitting on the bed rubbing their eyes and looking around, Ji Ruosh's voice came through. "Where's Mommy?" Ji Ruochen found the monitor in the corner of the bed. He leaned in front of it and said, "Mom, we're awake." The monitor had a two-way communication function. Shun Shui, speaking into her phone, replied, "Okay, I'll be right back to the room to find you. You two keep chatting. I'm going upstairs to bring the kids down." Shun Shui finished the tea in her cup, stood up, and left the tea room. After Shun Shui returned to the room, she told the two children to wash their faces. Once they were done, the three of them walked downstairs together. Shun Shui walked back to the tea room with the children. Ji Jingzhan asked the waiter to bring 2 glasses of milk for the children to drink. Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi sat beside Shen Shuwei, holding their cups, quietly drinking milk and listening to the adults' conversation. As it approached 4 o'clock, the group prepared to go out for some activities, first to the vegetable patch to pick some vegetables, and then to the orchard to pick some fruit, because they would be active outdoors in the fields. There might be mosquitoes. Shen Shuwei sprayed a little mosquito repellent on the children's arms and legs. Shuwei, give me some too. Mosquitoes love me. Here, take it. Shen Shuwei handed the mosquito repellent spray to Sheng Songyu. Sheng Songyu took the mosquito repellent spray and sprayed it many times on her hands and feet, not even sparing her neck. If she wasn't afraid of allergies, she would have even sprayed some on her face. This smell is really strong. Jiang Yi covered his mouth and nose, stood up first, and walked out. After a while, everyone else was ready and pushed the door open to come out. Ji Jingzhan led the way, and after about 10 minutes, he led everyone to the vegetable patch. Feel free to pick whatever you want. If you don't finish it tonight, pack it up and take it home, put it in your refrigerator, and you can eat it tomorrow. Ji Jingzhan pointed to the vegetable patch behind him and smiled. These are all organic vegetables. Sheng Songyu rubbed her hands together, her eyes slightly bright, and said, then we'll have to work harder and try to pick all the vegetables in the garden. No problem, then you go for it. Ji Jingzhan smiled slightly. It's only 20 acres. I believe you can do it. Sheng Songyu's eyes widened, and she said in surprise, oh my god, 20 acres. I take back what I just said. Alright, then let's get started. Let's go Tilda, roll up your sleeves. Time to work Tilda. The soil in the vegetable patch was quite soft, so everyone wore rain boots. When they stepped onto the path in the vegetable patch, their rain boots immediately sank about a centimeter. If you had stepped in with ordinary shoes, they would definitely have been ruined. Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi had previously learned the names of various vegetables by looking at picture books. Now that they could finally see what these vegetables looked like growing in the garden, both little ones found it very novel. Brother, so this is what a tomato plant looks like. I thought it was a really, really big tree. Jiyu Ruoshi said, shall we pick some tomatoes? Jiyu Ruochen nodded. Okay. Let's pick the red ones. The green ones aren't ripe yet. Okay, big brother. Jiyu Ruoshi picked a red tomato and put it in the basket, muttering, I picked a really big tomato tilde. Shen Shuwei smiled and said, oh, 1111 picked such a big tomato. Shall I make you tomato and egg stir-fry tonight? No, Shen Shuwei asked. Why not? Jiyu Ruoshi replied in a sweet, childish voice, I want to give this tomato to Grandma. Jiyu Ruochen also nodded in agreement. Let's pick more to take back for Grandpa and Grandma, and also Great-Grandpa and Great-Grandma. Okay, then let's work hard. There are other vegetables to pick. Shen Shuwei felt very pleased that the children naturally thought of showing filial respect to the elders in the family, which was a commendable act. After picking 2 baskets of tomatoes, Shen Shuwei said to Chen Chen and 1111, shall we go pick some other vegetables? It looks like there are eggplants and green beans over there. Okay, the children responded and walked over to another vegetable patch, continuing to pick other vegetables. Shen Shuwei and Sheng Songyu didn't stop working either. The two chatted while picking vegetables. Shuwei, to be honest, we really don't get many chances to experience farm life. This picking activity organized by the Ji family is quite nice, I think. Shen Shuwei smiled and said, I heard this was Ji Jingzhan's idea. Sheng Songyu's smile deepened. Is that so? Then he's quite resourceful. There are many farm-to-table restaurants, but their environments are relatively simple, not as well equipped as this one. He set up an equestrian club, and also included vegetable patches and fruit orchards for picking, which can also meet the needs of some guests for parent-child fun. After picking for over an hour, Shen Shuwei was already feeling a bit sore and achy. Chen Chen, 1111, are you too tired? Should we head back? Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi were having too much fun and replied in unison, not tired, Shen Shuwei, these little rascals really have endless energy. Shuwei, go rest for a while, I'll keep an eye on the kids here. Sheng Songyu noticed Shen Shuwei rubbing her waist and could tell she was genuinely uncomfortable. Alright, I'll go sit over there for a few minutes. Shun Shui walked to the edge of the vegetable patch and sat directly on the ground, not caring if it was dirty. After picking several large baskets of vegetables, they took the children to the orchard and picked many seasonal fruits. It wasn't until the sun set and darkness gradually fell that Jiyu Ruochen and Jiyu Ruoshi finally stopped and walked out of the orchard with them. Shun Shui took the two little ones to the faucet to wash their hands. Jiyu Ruoshi's face was beaming with a happy smile, and she said in a soft, sweet voice, "Mommy, my brother and I picked a lot of vegetables today." Shun Shui responded, yes, you two worked hard, eat more at dinner later." Jiyu Ruochen whispered, I'm already hungry, not to mention the two children. Shun Shui was also starving. After some physical labor, I get hungry quickly. Fortunately, the entire restaurant is now at their service. After the dishes were sent to the kitchen, the chefs quickly got busy. Soon after they sat down, the dishes were served one after another. Perhaps they were truly starving. And coupled with the fact that they were eating vegetables they had picked themselves, everyone ate with great relish. Even the two little ones ate half a bowl more than usual. After dinner, everyone loaded a pile of fruits and vegetables into the car, said their goodbyes, and prepared to drive back to the city. Just a few minutes after getting in the car, the two little ones were already asleep, leaning against the seatbacks. Shun Shui looked out the car window as the bright streetlights flashed by one after another. Feeling a bit drowsy, she couldn't help but yawn. "Shui, you must be quite tired today. Get some rest." Shun Shui shot him a glare and said languidly, "If you had let me off earlier last night, I might not be this tired today." Jiyu Ziyue gave a guilty chuckle. "We'll definitely go to bed early tonight." Shun Shui let out a dry laugh, closed her eyes, and ignored him. Men's words, the devil's lies. He always knew how to coax her, but once they started, she couldn't make him stop. Chapter 124 Choosing Bridesmaid Dresses. 7 a.m. the next morning, Jiyu family villa. When Shun Shui woke up, she felt sore all over her body and didn't go for her usual morning run as she normally would. After closing her eyes for just a short while, she quickly fell back asleep. When she woke up again, Shun Shui instinctively reached out to the side but found it empty. Jiyu Ziyue had already gotten up. As if hearing the movement on the bed, Jiyu Ziyue walked over while buttoning his shirt. He knelt on one leg on the bed, leaning down to kiss Shun Shui's lips. "Awake, how do you feel?" My back is a little sore." Jiyu Ziyue was quite well behaved last night, knowing Shun Shui was tired. He even helped her massage her lower back and shoulders. Shun Shui's sore back and aching waist today were all caused by yesterday afternoon's picking in the fields. "Then let me give you another massage," Jiyu Ziyue said in a deep voice. "Okay." Shun Shui turned over and lay face down on the pillow. Jiyu Ziyue placed both hands on her lower back and began kneading with moderate pressure. Shun Shui let out a soft sigh. So comfortable. Jiyu Ziyue's eyes darkened as his hand unconsciously slid to the side, reaching her sensitive spot. "How about this?" A faint blush spread across Shun Shui's face as she turned to look at him, giggling coyly. "Stop it." Jiyu Ziyue's shirt collar wasn't fully buttoned. He was now propped up on his hands on either side of the pillow, his collar slightly open, revealing the attractive lines of his muscles. Shun Shui clicked her tongue, reached out, and pushed his strong arm, whispering, I'm hungry too. I've been hungry since last night." His deep eyes held a profound and intense affection. "Nonsense. You clearly ate a lot of dishes last night." Shun Shui knew what he meant, but she simply wouldn't play along. Jiyu Ziyue chuckled softly, ruffled her hair, and said gently, "Hurry up and get out of bed. I can already hear your stomach growling." "It's not that exaggerated," Shun Shui muttered under her breath, getting up to put on her slippers before heading to freshen up and change, hand in hand. The couple walked into the dining room where everyone else was already seated and having breakfast. After taking their seats at the table, Shun Shui and Jiyu Ziyue greeted all the elders before starting their breakfast. After finishing breakfast, Jiyu Ruoshi looked up at Shun Shui and asked, "Mom, where are the fruits and vegetables we brought back yesterday? Why are they gone?" When they got home last night, it was already very late. Shun Shui instructed Aunt Zhong to take the children to bathe and get ready for bed, so it was only now that Jiyu Ruoshi remembered they had brought back a lot of vegetables and fruits last night. Shun Shui took a sip of coffee and replied softly, They're all in the fridge, or they would have gone bad. Jiyu Ruoshi scurried to the refrigerator, reaching out to open it, but she wasn't strong enough and couldn't open it at all. Shun Shui got up and walked over, leading Jiyu Ruoshi to another refrigerator. It's in this refrigerator, Shun Shui said, opening the refrigerator door and casually asking, 1111, do you want to eat the grapes we picked yesterday? Jiyu Ruoshi said obediently, I want to give them to great-grandpa and grandpa and grandma to eat. Oh, I see, then I'll get a fruit plate to put them in, and we can go wash them. Okay, Jiyu Ruoshi nodded vigorously. A little while later, Jiyu Ruochan also came over and washed the fruit with them. After all the fruit was washed, Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi each carried a fruit plate and swayed towards the living room. Upon seeing this, Li Pei exclaimed, Little ones, be careful, don't fall. Why are you carrying such a heavy fruit platter? The latter sentence was clearly directed at Shun Shui. Shun Shui said helplessly. Chen Chen and 1111 insisted on carrying them themselves. Yes, we wanted to carry them ourselves. These are the grapes and oranges we picked yesterday, said Jiyu Ruoshi. Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi placed the fruit platter on the coffee table and proactively offered fruit to the elders. Great-grandpa, grandpa, grandma, the fruit we picked is really sweet. Please try some. All right, we'll try it now. The three elders of the Jiyu family felt deeply gratified that the two children had such thoughtfulness and always thought of them in everything. No matter how sweet the fruit is, their hearts are filled with sweetness. After tasting the fruit brought by the children, the elder of the Jiyu family couldn't stop praising it. It's really exceptionally sweet. Yes, the flavor is sweet and fragrant, and it's very juicy too. It's been a long time since I've had such delicious fruit. Chen Chen, 1111, my darlings. You're so industrious. You actually picked so many vegetables and fruits. Li Peiji reached out and hugged the two children. Grandma wants to hug our good darlings. Grandpa Jiyu looked at the children with loving eyes. Jiyu Yuanlin ate a few more grapes and asked the children, Chen Chen, 1111, was it fun going there yesterday? Hearing her grandfather ask this question, Jiyu Ruoshi began to talk non-stop, with Jiyu Ruochan chiming in occasionally. The whole family sat happily in the living room chatting. In the afternoon, Shun Shui drove out to visit the dress studio with Shung Sangyu. They were there to choose bridesmaid dresses. Shun Shui and Jiyu Zeua were about to hold their wedding, and Shung Sangyu was undoubtedly the choice for bridesmaid. As for Shun Shui's wedding dress, a famous wedding dress designer had already been commissioned to design it. The style had been confirmed and it was currently being sewn. They browsed around the dress shop and selected over a dozen dresses. Shung Sangyu casually picked one and went into the fitting room to try it on. A few minutes later, Shung Sangyu opened the fitting room door and walked out. Shung Sangyu stood in front of the mirror and turned around. Seeing that Shun Shui was silent, she asked, Does this dress not look good? Shun Shui then came back to her senses and smiled apologetically. It's too beautiful. I was stunned by your beauty. Shung Sangyu waved her hand and chuckled. All right, stop with the flattery. We've known each other for so many years. Is this the first time you've really looked at me? Even if I saw you every day, I'd still think you're beautiful, Shunsha said with a beaming smile. I really look forward to seeing you in a wedding dress. Oh, I don't even have a boyfriend. You want to see me in a wedding dress? Shung Sangyu pursed her lips. You'll probably have to wait until pigs fly. If Ji Jingzhan had heard her say that, he would probably have said, as long as you agree, you can put on a wedding dress right away. A faint smile appeared on Shun Shui's face as she played with her fingers. I've calculated, your destined love should be arriving soon, Shung Sangyu said in a joking tone. Really, Master Shun, then I'll be eagerly awaiting it. Really, Shun Shui nodded. Ji Jingzhan had already started to act, but Shung Sangyu hadn't noticed yet. Shung Sangyu lifted her skirt and looked at herself in the mirror again. Shun Shui took a photo of her, once she had tried on all the dresses. It would be easier to compare them. Chapter 125. Encountering Mu Ru. After Shung Sangyu had tried on all the styles, the two of them sat on the sofa, discussing which one to choose as the bridesmaid dress. Shung Sangyu scrolled through the screen, saying with some hesitation, I think 3, 5, and 6 all look pretty good. Shun Shui nodded gently and said, I also like numbers 5 and 6, so you can choose between them. Shung Sungyu thought for a while and finally chose the sixth dress. A satin gown in lotus pink. Alright, let's go with this one then. After finalizing the design, the designer's assistant quickly came over to take Shung Sungyu's measurements, preparing to tailor a brand new dress for her. After leaving the dress shop, Shung Sungyu saw that it was still early and suggested they go to the mall. At the mention of shopping, Shun Shui immediately shook her head and refused. Yesterday afternoon, I was busy for several hours in the vegetable patch and the orchard. My back is aching now, and I really don't have the energy to go shopping. There's a coffee shop nearby. Shall we go sit for a while? Shung Sungyu pointed towards the intersection, where there was a European retro-style coffee shop. Okay, let's go then. Shun Shui pulled Shung Sungyu forward. When the traffic light at the intersection turned green, they stepped across the road, ding-a-ling, pushing open the glass door of the coffee shop. The bell hanging above the door chimed crisply. The staff member standing at the counter smiled at them and said, "Good afternoon. What would you two like to drink?" Shung Sungyu replied directly, "One hot latte, one hot Americano." For here, having known each other for years, they were well aware of each other's preferences, so there was no need to ask. Shung Sungyu went straight to place the order, while Shun Shui found a seat by the window. After placing the order, Shung Sungyu took the coffee receipt and sat down opposite Shun Shui. "Shui, haven't you finalized the wedding date and venue yet?" "The wedding date has been set for December 8th, it's a date chosen by the elders," Shun Shui said. "As for the venue, Ziyue and I haven't decided yet." Shung Sungyu nodded and said, "Alright, having the date set is good, I'll make sure to keep that time free. I won't take on any work the week before and after December 8th, just in case I can't make it back in time." Their coffee arrived, and Shun Shui turned the cup handle lightly, saying softly, "Choosing a venue isn't easy. If we hold the wedding abroad, friends and family will have to spend extra time applying for visas. Some might not be able to attend due to visa issues." Shung Sungyu thought for a moment and replied, "Visas are indeed a big problem. Plus, if you hold the wedding abroad, everyone will need to set aside several extra days. Yes, for everyone's convenience, we've decided to hold the wedding in Haicheng. Recently, we've been looking at hotels and wedding decoration plans. There's still time. Take your time choosing. I don't know much about weddings, so I can't give you much advice. Anyway, just choose what you like." Shun Shui gave a soft picked up her coffee cup, and took a sip of the rich, aromatic coffee. Shung Sungyu rested her chin on one hand and casually glanced out the window. She saw a familiar figure, her eyes suddenly widening as she stared intently at the woman. "Shui, isn't that your dad's ex-wife?" Shung Sungyu didn't say stepmother, because she knew very well that Shun Shui had never acknowledged that woman. Shun Shui followed Shung Sungyu's gaze and saw Mu Ru, dressed simply, holding a stack of flyers and handing them out to passers-by. Mu Ru had changed a lot. Shung Sungyu asked uncertainly, "Shui, is that woman really your dad's ex-wife?" Shun Shui nodded gently. "That's right, it's Mu Ru, her," Shung Sungyu said with a surprised look. "Even if she divorced your dad, she wouldn't stoop to handing out flyers. Didn't they say she transferred some assets before marriage?" Shun Shui explained with a smile. "My dad isn't the type to suffer losses. He found evidence of Mu Ru transferring assets, and the court has ordered Mu Ru to return all the transferred money to my dad within a year. That's how it should be. People like her shouldn't get off easy," Shung Sungyu said. "During this year, Mu Ru had to find a way to raise money to repay Shin Yuhong. A year from now, she wouldn't be any better off, because she had previously purchased highly toxic aflatoxin. Mu Ru would be arrested and imprisoned for 5 years after her 1-year lactation period ended. When Mu Ru gets out of prison, she will likely face betrayal and a life worse than death. Now that Mu Ru has fallen to the point of handing out flyers on the street, Shun Shui has no sympathy for her." The thought that the aflatoxins Mu Ru purchased might have been used on her mother made Shun Shui's heart ache with a dull, throbbing pain. Her mother's remains had been cremated years ago, making it impossible to detect any toxins, no matter what kind they were. Logically, it could be inferred that Mu Ru used the purchased toxins on her mother, but without evidence, there was no legal basis for a conviction. All Shun Shui could do was make Mu Ru's life a living hell. forcing her to struggle at the bottom of society for the rest of her days, without a single moment of peace. Shun Sungyu noticed the sadness in Shun Shui's eyes and asked worriedly, "Shui, did Mu Ru do something else?" Shun Shui sighed softly. "Mu Ru once bought a carcinogenic toxin. I suspect my mother's death is related to her. It's just a pity that it can no longer be verified." Next, Shun Shui carefully explained the matter to Shun Sungyu. After listening to Shun Shui, Shun Sungyu held her hand sympathetically and said, "This woman is truly heartless. She killed your mother because she wanted to become Mrs. Shun." Shun Shui curled her lips in a sarcastic smile. "The most ridiculous part is, after becoming Mrs. Shun, she still didn't know how to cherish it. Secretly, she got pregnant with another man's child." Shun Sungyu chimed in. "People like her are never satisfied. Like a snake trying to swallow an elephant, she got the position of Mrs. Shun, yet still wanted to have a child to compete with you and your brother for the Shun family's wealth. Good and evil will eventually meet their retribution." Shun Shui let out a deep sigh, because the aroma of coffee and desserts from the cafe always wafts out when the doors open. Mu Ru, standing by the roadside, also glanced towards the cafe. Things that were once easily attainable are now unattainable luxuries for Mu Ru. A cup of coffee costing over 30 yuan is enough for her to buy half a chicken at the market. The coffee was gone after 2 sips. "I should buy half a chicken to stew some soup, at least that would be nutritious." Without any warning, Mu Ru and Shun Shui's eyes met. The next moment, Mu Ru covered her face with a flyer and hurried away. She didn't want Shun Shui to see her in such a desolate state. Chapter 126. The couple goes to Italy. A few days later, Shun Shui and Jiu Ziue arranged their work affairs and flew to Italy on a private jet. The couple's trip was intended for taking wedding photos. After the photo shoot, they planned to stay a few extra days, leisurely enjoying a vacation and savoring some sweet alone time together. Now that the children had started school and were being looked after by Gu's elders, Shun Shui felt quite at ease. After 13 hours on the plane, we're finally approaching Milan Malpensa Airport. Shun Shui looked out the window, where the sunset painted the entire cloud layer in vibrant hues, so breathtakingly beautiful it felt like being in a dream. Jiu Ziue was engrossed in reading a magazine, and Shun Shui didn't want him to miss this stunning view. She nudged his arm with her elbow. "Ziue, look quickly, the sunset outside is so beautiful." Jiu Ziue casually placed the magazine on the table and turned to look out the window, his eyes also filled with delight. It's truly beautiful. Scenes like this, Jiu Ziue had seen them many times before, yet never found anything particularly special about them. But now, admiring it together with Shun Shui, his state of mind was completely different. Shun Shui picked up her phone, pressed it against the airplane window, and took several photos of the sunset and clouds. Such a beautiful scene naturally had to be shared with family and friends. After a while, the flight attendant from the Jiu family came over and reminded them with a smile, "The plane is preparing to land. Please fasten your seatbelts." "Okay." Shun Shui and Jiu Ziue quickly fastened their seatbelts. The plane encountered some turbulence during descent due to air currents, but it didn't last long before landing at Milan Airport. Jiu Ziue held Shun Shui's hand as they exited the airport through the VIP passage. A black Lincoln was parked outside the airport, arranged in advance by Jiu Ziue. The driver, dressed in a uniform and wearing white gloves, opened the car door for them, bowing slightly in a gesture of welcome. After the couple got into the car and settled in, the driver started the engine and drove out of the airport. After about half an hour's drive, they arrived at the Hilton Hotel where they would be staying for the night. The car stopped outside the revolving door of the hotel lobby, and the hotel's bellboy immediately came over to open the car door for them and place their luggage on a trolley. "Shui, have a seat on the sofa for a while. I'll go handle the check-in procedures," Jiu Ziue said, holding their 2 passports as he walked to the front desk to complete the formalities. Shun Shui sat on the sofa and sent messages in the WeChat group to the elders, informing them that they had already arrived at the hotel in Italy. Just as she finished sending the messages, Jiu Ziue had completed the check-in procedures and walked over with their passports and room keys. "Shui, let's go upstairs," he said. Shun Shui nodded. tucked her phone back into her bag, and took Ji-Yu's arm as they walked toward the elevator. The hotel had been booked by Ji-Yu. When Shun Shui stepped into the hotel suite, she was instantly struck by how bright and spacious it was. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-living-room suite, with the living room connected to a large balcony surrounded by a circle of lavender flower beds. Sitting on the leisure chairs on the balcony, one can enjoy a panoramic view of Lake Como's scenery. The bellboy placed the luggage in the living room and then turned to leave. Shun Shui looked at the 2 rooms and decided to use the smaller one for storing clothes and makeup. She pushed the suitcase into the small room, opened it, and hung up all 3 wedding dresses. Ji-Yu wasn't idle either. He took out the everyday clothes and hung them in another wardrobe. By the time they finished organizing the clothes, it was already dark outside. Shun Shui glanced at her phone screen. It was already past 7 in the evening. Shui, this hotel has several restaurants. Take a look and see which one you'd like to go to. Ji-Yu casually handed the hotel's brochure to Shun Shui. Shun Shui flipped through it and chose a restaurant with a view of the lake. The couple went downstairs and sat at a scenic spot by the window. After ordering, Shun Shui rested her chin on one hand and turned her gaze to Lake Como. The lake reflected the lights along the shore, creating a shimmering interplay of light and shadow, like the twinkling stars in the sky. Sitting by the lakeside, with the gentle breeze brushing against my face, I suddenly felt refreshed and invigorated. The fatigue from over 10 hours on the plane quickly dissipated quite a bit. Ji-Yu casually asked, Shui, have you been here before? Shun Shui turned to look at him and nodded earnestly in response. Yes, a year ago, I brought Chen Chen and 1111 here. Ji-Yu slightly furrowed his handsome brows and then asked, which month last year did you come? Shun Shui thought for a moment before replying. I think it was around mid-May. Mid-May, Ji-Yu said with some surprise. I was here those days too. Hearing Ji-Yu's words, Shun Shui showed a shocked expression, looking at him in disbelief. You must be joking. What are the odds of that? Ji-Yu pulled out his phone from his pocket, opened the hotel booking app, and showed Shun Shui the check-in record. Shun Shui glanced at his phone screen and said, I never imagined that in such a big world, we'd both end up here without planning it. What a shame I didn't run into you here back then. Ji-Yu sighed softly. A few years ago, Ji-Yu went almost mad searching for Shun Shui's traces, which led him to many countries. He even expanded his business overseas. Who would have thought that, as fate would have it, he and Shun Shui had once passed by each other right here? Shun Shui blinked her eyes and said with a light laugh, perhaps it's because I was living on the other side of the lake at the time, probably in that general area. With that, she raised her hand and pointed toward the opposite shore. The hotels in this area are all quite luxurious, with nightly rates starting at least from 10,000. Shun Shui stayed on the opposite shore with the children, where the prices were much more affordable. Shui, when I came here back then, I also wanted to see if I might run into you, Ji-Yu said. It was a strange premonition, as if I felt you would appear, but in the end, we still didn't meet. Shun Shui understood his feelings at this moment. He had been eagerly hoping to find her as soon as possible. Reaching across the dining table, she gently held his hand and said softly, perhaps the time hasn't come yet. If 2 people are destined to be together, no matter how far apart they are, they will eventually reunite. Maybe this is heaven's punishment for me. Punishing me for being too cold to you before, punishing me for failing to see my own feelings. Ji-Yu's eyes couldn't conceal his emotion. For Ji-Yu, the past few years had indeed been unbearable, with every single day filled with longing for Shun Shui. The longing drove him nearly to madness, to the point where he couldn't sleep at night. After remarrying Shun Shui, Ji-Yu's insomnia miraculously cured itself without any medication. Only by holding her in his arms every night did he feel that this wasn't a dream. She had truly returned to his side. Chapter 127. Taking wedding photos. After finishing dinner, Shun Shui and Ji-Yu went upstairs to their room. To ensure they would be in good condition for the wedding photo shoot the next day, the couple went to bed early after taking a shower. The next morning, Shun Shui slowly woke up, and the first thing she saw upon opening her eyes was Ji-Yu's handsome face. Ji-Yu lay on his side, gazing at her intently. When he saw her wake up, he leaned in and planted a gentle kiss on her forehead. Good morning, wifey. Good morning. Shun Shui reached out to wrap her arms around his waist, nuzzling her head against the crook of his shoulder. The young couple lingered in bed, whispering sweet nothings and cuddling for a while before finally getting up to freshen up. After changing clothes, Shun Shui walked to the bedside and pulled open the blackout curtains. Warm sunlight streamed through the window, spilling onto the solid wood floor. Viewing the scenery of Lake Como during the day reveals a beauty so breathtaking it feels suffocating. Ji Yuziua called the front desk and ordered some breakfast, asking the staff to deliver it to the room. 10 minutes later, a knock sounded at the door. Ji Yuziua stood up to open the door, and the waiter pushed the dining cart inside, arranging all the breakfast items on the table. The door closed again, and Ji Yuziua called out toward the room, "Shui. Breakfast has been served, you can come out to eat now." Shun Shui replied, "Okay, give me 5 minutes, I'll come out after I finish applying this face mask." Applying a face mask before makeup helps keep the skin more hydrated, resulting in better makeup application. After applying the face mask, Shun Shui discarded it, washed her face again, and applied some skincare products. After finishing these steps, she slowly made her way to the dining room and sat down at the table. Ji Yuziua hadn't started eating yet, waiting for her to join him before having breakfast together. Seeing him push the tablet aside, Shun Shui quickly said, "It's fine, if you're busy with work, you can keep reading." Ji Yuziua had just been reviewing work documents. Junfeng Group is the largest company in Haicheng, with dozens of subsidiaries alone. Shun Shui is now also part of the company's management. She can understand the challenges Ji Yuziua faces as the group's president. With a gentle smile on his face, Ji Yuziua said to her, "It's all right, no rush, I'll look at those documents after having breakfast with you." Shun Shui nodded lightly and began eating her breakfast with relish. Just finished breakfast, the makeup artist arrived with an assistant. Hearing the knock at the door, Ji Yuziua put down his water glass and stood up to go open it. Both the makeup artist and the assistant were from China, and upon entering, they first greeted the couple, "Mr. Ji, Mrs. Ji." "Good morning, Tilda." "Hello, nice to meet you both." Shun Shui led the two of them into the room where the wedding dresses were hung. "You can do my makeup for me in this room." "All right, let's get started with our work. Mrs. Ji, please go change into the first wedding dress." Shun Shui took the first wedding dress and went to another room to change. She couldn't zip up the back by herself, so she had to step out and ask Ji Yuziua to help her with it. Once the dress was on, Shun Shui sat upright in front of the dressing table, letting the makeup artist apply her makeup and style her hair. While Shun Shui was doing her makeup, Ji Yuziua was in the living room on the phone with Fang Yu, remotely handling some work matters. Seeing that Shun Shui was almost ready, Ji Yuziua quickly ended the call, picked up his white suit, and went into the room to change. When Shun Shui finished her makeup and walked out of the room, Ji Yuziua looked up at her and was momentarily stunned. She looked truly beautiful in her wedding dress. Shun Shui possesses an exquisitely beautiful face and a perfectly proportioned figure, looking stunning in any outfit she wears. Today, dressed in a diamond-encrusted wedding gown with delicate makeup, she looks even more breathtaking, like a fairy descended from heaven. Ji Yuziua held Shun Shui's hand and said in a deep voice, "Shui, you look absolutely beautiful today." The smile on Shun Shui's lips deepened as her gaze lingered on him. "In this suit, you look dashing, noble, and elegant." The couple held hands as they walked out of the room, went downstairs to meet the photography team, and then drove straight to the shooting location. Lake Como is one of the famous lakes in the Alpine region, and its scenery is also the most romantic and poetic. It can be said that every random shot captures a landscape as beautiful as a painting. Italy, Lake Como. The couple and the photography team first arrived at the lakeside observation deck, ready to take a few sets of photos. The photography team set up their equipment, and the photographer picked up the camera to start shooting. "All right, the couple should link arms. The groom just needs to stand straight, and the bride can cover her mouth and laugh happily." Click, click. The photographer kept pressing the shutter, now pose standing gracefully, the couple linking arms, smiling at the camera. "Yes." Just like that, the bride gives a shy smile, gently resting her head on the groom's shoulder. Place the veil over both their heads, the bride slightly closing her eyes as the groom kisses her forehead. Stand facing each other, bride and groom. The bride, raise your arm and place it around the groom's neck. The groom, put your hand around the bride's waist. Now, look into each other's eyes, with a bit more tenderness. Shun Shuwei and Jiyu Zeua followed the photographer's instructions to pose for the photo. As for the gaze, even without the photographer's reminder, the couple's eyes naturally brimmed with gentle affection when they looked at each other. After taking photos at several viewing platforms by the lake, the couple returned to the hotel to change into another wedding dress, and then the group went to a garden by the lake. The garden was full of blooming flowers, and there was a small blue-domed pavilion. Further inside, there was a maple forest. Every few steps, there was a different view. The wedding photo shoot finally concluded in the evening. Shun Shuwei had been wearing high heels all day, and after a full day of shooting, her feet were utterly exhausted. As soon as she got into the car, she couldn't resist kicking off her high heels. The car stopped at the hotel entrance, where the doorman opened the door from outside. Jiyu Zeua stepped out first, then turned to scoop Shun Shuwei into his arms and carried her straight into the hotel lobby. Jiyu Zeua's flamboyant gesture drew the attention of many onlookers. This made Shun Shuwei feel a bit shy. Burying her face in his embrace, back in the hotel room, Jiyu Zeua gently placed Shun Shuwei on the sofa. He crouched down, lifted her fair foot, and examined it carefully. Luckily, it's just a bit red. The high heels didn't scrape your foot, Jiyu Zeua said. I'll go draw you a warm bath to help relieve the fatigue. While Jiyu Zeua went to the bathroom to run the water, Shun Shuwei lay on the sofa playing with her phone, replying to messages from her friends. After filling the bathtub with water, Jiyu Zeua walked out of the bathroom and carried Shun Shuwei inside. Jiyu Zeua placed her beside the bathtub, his fingertips lightly tracing her waist as he asked in a husky voice, "Shuwei, do you want me to stay?" Shun Shuwei responded softly, wrapping her arms around his shoulders and gazing up at him with misty eyes. Their deep affection for each other spread boundlessly in that moment. Chapter 128. Return to Manchester. Over the next 3 days, Shun Shuwei and Jiyu Zeua remained at Lake Como, waking naturally in the morning. Shun Shuwei was roused not only by birdsong and floral scents but also by Jiyu Zeua's woodpecker-style kisses. After breakfast, Jiyu Zeua would take her hand and stroll with her along the picturesque lakeshore. The afternoon sun was quite strong, so the couple took their laptops to a cafe, where they worked while enjoying coffee. As evening falls, we'll go to the terrace together to enjoy the beautiful sunset. Such pleasant moments always seem to pass by especially quickly. While the couple was discussing their next destination, Jiyu Zeua pondered for a moment before saying to Shun Shuwei, "There's a place I'd like to visit with you." Shun Shuwei asked, What place?" Jiyu Zeua slowly uttered, "Manchester." This was the city where Shun Shuwei had lived for 4 years. Hearing Jiyu Zeua mention it, Shun Shuwei couldn't help but freeze for a moment. "Why do you want to go to Manchester?" Jiyu Zeua reached out and pulled Shun Shuwei into his embrace, whispering softly, "Shuwei, I want to see the place where you and the children used to live." Shun Shuwei gave an affirmative hum and nodded, saying, "All right then, I'll take you to have a look." Having stayed here for several days already, the two of them had almost explored every corner of the nearby area. After deciding on their next destination, the two began packing their luggage, took a car to the airport, and then boarded a private plane to Manchester. Upon arriving at Manchester Airport, Shun Shuwei and Jiyu Zeua first took a car to the hotel, completed the check-in procedures, and settled their luggage. The Kimpton Hotel where they were staying wasn't far from Shun Shuwei's former residence. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, she could see it in the distance. Around 3 in the afternoon, Shun Shuwei took Jiyu Zeua to walk toward her old home. Having been away from this city for nearly half a year, returning now brought back memories that flooded her mind like a tide. It wasn't that she had any particular attachment to this place, but she couldn't help recalling the scenes of her life here with the children. After walking for about 5 or 6 minutes, Shun Shuwei pointed to a cake shop and said to Jiyu Zeua, "Chen Chen and 1111 used to love the cakes from this shop the most. Every time we passed by here, they couldn't resist stopping. However, I didn't always agree to buy cakes for the kids. Eating too many sweets isn't good for them." Jiyu Zeua glanced at the shop window and chuckled, I can already imagine 1111 clinging to your leg and acting spoiled. Exactly, she always uses those same few tricks. Shen Shui smiled and pulled Jiuzhua forward, crossing a zebra crossing. After turning through several alleys in the residential area, Shen Shui stopped in front of a house. The exterior walls of the house were made of stone, appearing natural and unadorned. Decades of wind and rain had left their mark. Bearing traces of history, she turned to look at Jiuzhua and said, "This is the one. The elderly landlady lives on the second floor. I rented the third floor at the time. It must have been rented to someone else by now." Shen Shui hadn't returned here since she brought the children back to the country. She had asked Sheng Huinan to help terminate the lease for this rented house. The furniture and appliances all belong to the landlord. The belongings of the mother and her two children mostly consist of clothes, daily necessities, and some toys. There was nothing valuable left behind, so Shen Shui asked Sheng Huinan to simply clear everything out. Click! The sound of the lock turning echoed as the front door was pulled open from the inside. The landlady, Linda, opened the door and stepped out. The moment she saw Shen Shui, she froze in place. Shen Shui smiled at Linda and greeted her in English. "Hello, Linda. Long time no see, Tilda. Oh, Wei Wei, you're finally back." Linda walked up to Shen Shui and gave her a warm hug. Noticing Linda was carrying a bag, Shen Shui asked, "Linda, are you heading out?" "We're just taking a casual stroll. If you're busy, we can catch up another day." Shen Shui and Jiuzhua had originally planned to just look around the outside of the house and not disturb anyone inside. Unexpectedly, the landlady happened to come out just then. "It's all right. I was just planning to take a walk in the park." Linda looked at Shen Shui with some surprise and asked, "Aren't you coming back to stay here?" The landlady's words left Shen Shui utterly confused. She had already terminated the lease. How could she possibly come back to stay here? "Linda, my husband and I are here on vacation." Shen Shui smiled as she introduced him to Linda. "This is my husband, Jiuzhua." "Hello, Linda." "Oh, Mr. Jiu, hello." After exchanging greetings, Linda warmly invited the couple in for a cup of tea, unable to decline such hospitality, and with Jiuzhua also wanting to take a look inside, Shen Shui took his hand and they walked in together. In the living room on the first floor, there were two sofas. Shen Shui and Jiuzhua sat side by side on a two-seater sofa, while Linda quickly brewed a pot of black tea and brought it over, placing it on the small coffee table. "Thank you," the young couple said as they took the teacups, expressing their gratitude one after the other. "You're welcome," Linda replied. Sitting across from them, she voiced the question on her mind. "Wei Wei, from what you said, it sounds like you don't plan to come back and live here anymore. So why did you renew the lease?" Shen Shui was utterly shocked and quickly asked, "Didn't Mr. Sheng come to cancel the lease?" "He came by." Linda first nodded, then shook her head and said, "But he wasn't here to terminate the lease. Instead, he came to renew it. He renewed it for you for 2 more years. Renewed for 2 years. Shen Shui's face showed an expression of disbelief. She couldn't figure out what Sheng Huinan was up to. Was he so rich that he couldn't spend all his money? Linda said, "So, I thought you came back this time intending to stay." Listening to their conversation, Jiuzhua subtly raised an eyebrow. He could somewhat guess Shengnan Huai's thoughts. Shengnan Huai was probably hoping that Shen Shui would leave Haicheng again and return to live here. That way, he could continue to take care of the mother and her 2 children and stay by Shen Shui's side. Linda continued to tell Shen Shui, "Mr. Sheng often comes over to clean your house." Shen Shui asked, "When was the last time he came?" "Probably about half a month ago," Linda said with a smile. "I used to think Mr. Sheng was your boyfriend. He cares for you so much and looks after you so well. He's my best friend's brother, just like an older brother to me." Shen Shui's feelings were somewhat complicated. She could only let Sheng Huinan's deep affection for her go unrequited in this lifetime. If there is an afterlife, Shen Shui hopes that Sheng Huinan will never meet her again. Listening to the landlady reminisce about those past moments between Shen Shui and Sheng Huinan, Jiuzhua felt a sour bubbling in his heart. Those 4 years had always been Sheng Huinan by Shen Shui's side, but he quickly let it go. There was no need for him to feel jealous of Sheng Huinan. Even after staying by her side for 4 years, Sheng Huinan still couldn't win Shen Shui's heart. Love truly defies all logic. He and Shun Shui also went through many trials before they could finally be together. Chapter 129, Precious to Him. The three of them sat in the living room on the first floor drinking tea, with Shun Shui chatting with Linda for over half an hour. Linda learned that the two children were already attending school in their home country and that the family had no plans to move to Manchester, so she persuaded Shun Shui to cancel the lease on the house. If she moves out, she can refund the rent to Shun Shui. Let me think about it. Shun Shui stood up and said to Linda, "May I go upstairs to take a look?" "Of course, it's still your house after all." Shun Shui smiled awkwardly and said, "I didn't bring my key, then I'll go look for my spare key." Linda got up and walked to the cabinet by the wall, pulling open a drawer to search for a while. After finding the key, Linda handed it to Shun Shui. "Thank you," Shun Shui said, holding the key as she walked upstairs with Jiyu Zeyue. Pushing open the dark solid wood door, the first thing Shun Shui did upon entering was to open all the windows. The room had a stuffy smell from being unventilated for so long. Jiyu Zeyue glanced around. It was a two-bedroom, one living room apartment, but quite small, probably only about 60 square meters. "Shui, why didn't you rent a bigger place?" Shun Shui replied absent-mindedly. "Renting a bigger place is expensive. If I remember correctly, you're not exactly short on money, are you?" Jiyu Zeyue said. "If you're tight on cash, you could sell that property. It should at least cover your and the child's expenses for decades." At the time of their divorce, Jiyu Zeyue transferred the ownership of the Yujiang mansion property to Shun Shui. The value of that house is between 150 to 180 million. Shun Shui helplessly shook her head and sighed. "All right. Then I'll be honest with you." Jiyu Zeyue chuckled lightly. "Go ahead, I'm all ears." Leaning against the windowsill, Shun Shui spoke in a gentle tone. "Back then, because of those matters, I was disheartened and chose to divorce you. After that, I was also kicked out of the house by my father. With a heavy heart, I went abroad alone." She sighed softly and continued, "I don't want to live alone in a high-rise apartment, it's too lonely, and also, and what else? I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on and might leave with the child. This world." Even though Shun Shui didn't finish her sentence, Jiyu Zeyue seemed to understand what she meant. He looked at Shun Shui with heartache and gently pulled her into his arms. He whispered in her ear, "Shui, I'm sorry, you've endured so much. When you needed me the most, I wasn't by your side." Jiyu Zeyue's warm embrace brought a surge of warmth to Shun Shui's heart as well. "I'm fine, it's all in the past now. I was feeling a bit depressed during that time. But thankfully my landlord Linda is a kind-hearted person who gave me a lot of care and support." After hugging Jiyu Zeyue for a while, Shun Shui gently pushed his arm and said softly, "Didn't you say you wanted to see? Let's not waste any time. I'll take you to see Chen Chen and 1111's cribs." Shun Shui pulled Jiyu Zeyue into the room to show him the clothes the children had worn when they were little, the toys they had played with, and the bottles they had used. Jiyu Zeyue looked at these items and pictured in his mind the adorable image of the children lying in their cribs, clutching their bottles. His eyes were turbulent, and a huge wave surged in his heart. "Shui, if we give up the house, are you planning to throw all these things away?" Shun Shui nodded lightly and replied, "That's right. When I asked Huainan to help me terminate the lease, I told him to either throw them away directly or give them to someone in need." Jiyu Zeyue said, "I want to pack these up and take them back to the Jiyu family for safekeeping." "Huh?" Shun Shui blinked her eyes, looking at him with a puzzled expression. "Is that really necessary, Shui? I missed the most important stages of Chen Chen and 1111's growth. You've watched these two kids grow up, so you might not feel anything particularly special when you see these things. But it's different for me. When I see these things, I really want to cherish them properly. Besides, the elders would probably be very happy to see them too." Seeing Jiyu Zeyue's earnest expression, Shun Shui couldn't help but laugh, then said, "I just thought it wasn't necessary, but I didn't say you couldn't take them back. You're right, it would be nice to bring them back to the Jiyu family for the elders to see." Jiyu Zeyue smiled and said, "Shall we start packing up here today?" "Sounds good, you go ahead and pack. I'll go downstairs to talk to Linda about terminating the lease." "All right, go ahead." Shun Shui walked downstairs, and Linda immediately turned to look at her, nodding in acknowledgement, after sitting down on the sofa. Shun Shui smiled and said, "Linda, I've lived here for 4 years, And I really owe it all to your care. Linda adjusted the frame of her reading glasses and gently patted the back of Shun Shui's hand. You're a good kid, and you deserve all the wonderful things in this world. Thank you. Linda had given Shun Shui warm care during her most difficult times, something she had always remembered with gratitude. You're welcome, Linda asked. Let me return the remaining rent to you. Please write down your bank account for me. Linda, there's no need to refund the money. Haven't you always wanted to renovate the house? Use this money for the renovation. No, no, no. Linda quickly waved her hand. You don't owe me anything. I can't take your money. Shun Shui held Linda's hand and smiled, saying, Linda, you don't know, without your care, I might not have survived long ago. This is far from enough to thank you for your care over these years. When Shun Shui was busy with work, Linda often helped take care of her child, and she did it very well. Linda kept refusing, insisting on returning the money to Shun Shui. Shun Shui directly changed the subject and asked, Linda, do you have any cardboard boxes at home? Could you give me a few? I need to pack some things. Yes, I'll go find some for you. Linda immediately got up and went to the storage room, found a few cardboard boxes, and handed them to Shun Shui. Thank you, Tilda. Shun Shui took the cardboard box and went straight upstairs, leaving Linda no chance to continue discussing the refund. As for the rent that Shun Huinan had paid on her behalf, Shun Shui would return the money to him after she returned to China, if he refused to accept it. Shun Shui would simply transfer the money to Shun Sangyu and ask her to pass it on. Shun Shui and Jiu Ziua spent several hours packing everything up, ending up with a total of 8 cardboard boxes. These things need to stay here for a couple more days until they find someone to move them, then have them loaded onto the private jet. The couple had just descended the stairs when they caught the enticing aroma of a meal, realizing it was already mealtime and not wanting to intrude further. Shun Shui stepped into the kitchen to bid Linda farewell. Spotting her at the kitchen doorway, Linda spoke up first. I've prepared roast chicken and steak for you. It'll be ready soon. Please have a seat outside for now. With the meal already prepared, Shun Shui and Jiu Ziua couldn't very well refuse. So they stayed and shared dinner with Linda. During the meal, Shun Shui chatted a lot with Linda, learning that Shun Shui was now living a very happy life. Linda's face, marked by the passage of time, broke into a joyful smile. After finishing dinner, Shun Shui helped Linda clean up the kitchen before leaving with Jiu Ziua, walking slowly back to the hotel. Chapter 130. Going home, Shun Shui took Jiu Ziua around Manchester for 2 days, visiting all the places she and the children often went to. As they walked, she shared with Jiu Ziua stories about their lives as a family of 3 in the city. While strolling, Shun Shui also made sure to shop, mainly buying gifts for the elders and the children. On the morning of the 3rd day, Shun Shui and Jiu Ziua returned to China by private jet. The private jet arrived at Haicheng Airport when it was already past 4 a.m. locally, and the Jiu family's driver had been waiting outside the airport for some time. After getting in the car, Jiu Ziua asked with concern, Shui, how are you feeling? Are you tired? Shun Shui smiled and replied, I slept for 7 or 8 hours on the plane just now. So I don't feel sleepy at the moment. The private jet was like a mobile apartment, equipped with 2 bedrooms, a shower, and comfortable beds for sleeping. When returning to the Jiu family villa, it was still early, and the sky hadn't yet brightened. The family members were all still sound asleep. Shun Shui hung her bag on the coat rack and said to Jiu Ziua, who was changing his shoes, I'm a bit hungry and plan to cook some noodles. Would you like some too? Sure. Jiu Ziua nodded readily. Shun Shui went to the kitchen, rummaged through the fridge, took out some beef and greens, washed and chopped them, then cooked a pot of clear beef noodle soup. She served the noodles, and Jiu Ziua stood beside her, saying, Shui, be careful, it's hot. Let me carry it. Okay, I'll get the spoons and chopsticks. Shun Shui opened the cupboard and took out 2 sets of spoons and chopsticks. Jiu Ziua carefully carried the 2 bowls of noodles to the dining table. The 2 sat facing each other, savoring the freshly cooked beef noodles. After finishing their noodles, the couple sat in the living room drinking tea, watching the sky outside grow brighter through the large floor-to-ceiling window. Around 7 o'clock, Shun Shui estimated that the children would probably wake up soon. She went upstairs, opened the door to the children's room, and quietly stepped inside. Jiyu Ruoshi was still sound asleep, hugging her pig plushie. Jiyu Ruochan, however, was already awake. His big round eyes fixed on Shen Shui. Mommy. Jiyu Ruochan rubbed his eyes, as if thinking he was seeing things. Shen Shui scooped Jiyu Ruochan into her arms, patted his head, and whispered, Chen Chen, awake already. Did you miss Mommy? I do. Jiyu Ruochan wrapped his arms around Shen Shui's neck, nuzzling affectionately against her shoulder. Not long after, Jiyu Ruoshi turned over, lazily lifting her eyelids. Upon seeing Shen Shui's figure, Jiyu Ruoshi instantly woke up, calling out crisply, Mommy Tilda, 1111, Mommy's back. Shen Shui walked over, bent down, and kissed Jiyu Ruoshi's little cheek. Mom, is Italy fun? Did you and Dad take lots of beautiful photos? Yes, we took many photos. After breakfast, I'll get the tablet and show you the pictures. Yay Tilda. Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi quickly went to wash up, changed their clothes, and then went downstairs with Shen Shui. The two children ran downstairs and saw Jiyu Zeyue, then trotted over to him. The elders also came downstairs one after another. Hearing the footsteps, Shen Shui greeted them with a bright smile. Good morning, Grandpa, Dad, Mom. Old Master Jiyu and Jiyu Yuanlin nodded at her. Good morning, Shui. Good morning, Shui, Li Peiji said, pulling Shen Shui to sit at the dining table. What time did you get home? You must be hungry. Let's have breakfast quickly. We got home a little after 5, as soon as we arrived. I went to the kitchen and cooked 2 bowls of noodles. We ate around 5, and now it's mostly digested. Let's have a little more. Shen Shui nodded gently and said to the servant nearby, Could you please serve me a bowl of kanji? Yes, young madam, the servant replied respectfully. Soon, the servant brought out a bowl of porridge and placed it in front of Shen Shui. After breakfast, the whole family gathered in the living room to look at the photos Shen Shui and Jiyu Zeyue had taken a few days ago. Jiyu Ruoshi said, Wow, Mom is so beautiful in her white wedding dress, just like a princess Tilda. Jiyu Ruochan said, Dad looks handsome too, much more handsome than the celebrities on TV. With every wedding photo they flipped through, the two children would exclaim in awe, Wow, so beautiful, after looking through the wedding photos. Shen Shui opened the pictures taken in Manchester. Chen Chen, 1111, do you recognize where this place is? Jiyu Ruochan immediately answered, Manchester. Oh, Mom went back. Jiyu Ruoshi asked excitedly, Did you bring my Mickey back for me? Shen Shui nodded with a smile, Of course I brought it back. Shen Ruoshi threw herself into Shen Shui's arms and laughed happily. Mom is the best. Jiyu Zeyue, 1111. Actually your mom was planning to throw it away, but Dad insisted on bringing it back. Shen Shui glanced at Jiyu Zeyue, signaling him not to speak carelessly. He immediately swallowed his words, not daring to make a sound. Besides your toys, we also brought chocolates and cake for you, Shen Shui said to Chen Chen and 1111. It's from that shop you love. Jiyu Zeyue stood up and walked to the refrigerator, taking out one of the boxes of chocolates from inside. Returning to the living room, he placed the chocolate on the coffee table and said, It hasn't been long since breakfast, so you might not have room for cake, but you can try this chocolate. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. Jiyu Ruochan and Jiyu Ruoshi couldn't wait to grab a piece of chocolate and popped it into their mouths. Let me try it too. Is it really that delicious? Seeing how much the children were enjoying it, Li Peiji also took a piece of chocolate. This dark chocolate is quite good, smooth and velvety with a hint of bitterness to balance the sweetness. Li Peiji picked up the box. Dad, Yuanlin, you should try some too. Old Master Jiyu and Jiyu Yuanlin each took a piece and nodded in agreement. Yes, it's quite delicious. Neither of them had much of a sweet tooth, so they didn't find anything particularly remarkable about it. After sampling the chocolate and enjoying a few cups of tea, Jiyu Zeyue brought out many more gifts to present to the elders. These are all the gifts Shui bought for you. We don't lack anything. There was no need to go to such trouble. Although Old Master Jiyu said this, he couldn't put down the vintage ornaments Shen Shui had bought. Shui, your taste is truly excellent. I really love the brooch and earrings you chose. Li Peiji couldn't stop smiling with delight. Jiyu Yuanlin also smiled and said, Shui, you've put a lot of thought into this. This watch suits me perfectly. Seeing the elders quite satisfied with the gifts she had chosen, Shun Shui felt very happy inside. With a smile lingering on her face, she spent most of the day with the elders, sharing many amusing stories from the past few days. The living room was filled with laughter and joy. After lunch, Shun Shui and Jiu Zeyue, along with the gifts and their 2 children, drove back to the Yu family home. Every member of the Jiu family received a gift. And Shun Shui certainly didn't show favoritism. She bought plenty of things for her grandfather and brother as well. Thank you for watching. This is a full-length novel. If you'd like to see what happens next, please leave a comment below saying looking forward to the next part, or give this video a like. I'll update based on your feedback. See you next time.